at me
It's just weird
for?
because you're dressed as a villain and you're just bouncing really happily.
Okay. Why is it in the red? Sis, we just started. It says excellent connection. Okay, we're out of the red now. Okay. I think this is like all working out. It says excellent connection, Hunter. We got this. Hi guys, if you guys are seeing this, by the way, we have I may cut this out like when it actually uploads to YouTube, but for the actual stream.
So they don't get to see you dressed as a monster bobbing happily up and down.
We really have no choice. But yeah, okay. So it seems like this is working. Is this working? Can you guys see us? Are we alive? Are we good?
Do you see sad baby Cinder?
I'm just gonna post that we're doing this on Twitter.
Oh god.
Just in case you guys are wondering. Wow, Cal, you look gorgeous. Thank you. You guys are so sweet. Okay, so now I need to post that we're streaming. And then we will talk about the episode. So Hunter,
yes.
How are you doing in your life? Talk to the audience. They haven't seen you and it's been a minute because
they're all concerned about your makeup right now.
I know. Oh, you look so good, Cal. That Salem cosplay is spicy. Thank you, guys. You guys are so nice.
So, unless they're Patreons, they wouldn't have known this story of what happened this morning.
So why don't you tell them if you want?
Normally, when we do these, I just walk over around 11 or like 10:45, a couple minutes before the episode release, and, I open the door and there's Cal. Except for this time, I open the door and I see the pale face of death staring back at me. And she's like, hi, and I'm like, ah! And I jump back, and I don't know, I scared myself enough that I needed to, like, take a walk. And then there was this, like, poor lady who was walking her child in, like, a little push cart thing.
And they were probably like, what the hell? Is it Halloween?
She didn't see you. That's the upsetting part. She only saw me.
Like, she has no idea what you're freaking out about.
Insane. She didn't see the fact. I made eye contact with her briefly. I wanted to walk back indoors, grab you, walk out, and then, like, push, like, look, it's not me.
Oh
it's
my God.
Weird.
But yeah, so that's what happened to Hunter.
It's just so, it's like...
Because I didn't tell anyone I was doing this. So
no, you didn't.
I didn't.
You talked some weird shit.
No one was alerted.
But you were like, I'm thinking about doing something tomorrow. I thought that we were going to have the same shirt. No. I didn't think you were going to dress like a monster.
I told Hunter, so I was like, Hunter, do you have a Salem shirt? Because I knew I was doing this morning. So I asked, I was like, oh, do you have a Salem shirt? And Hunter was like, no, like, is there even a Salem shirt? Yes, I don't know if you guys know.
That's an older shirt.
This is a Focus shirt. It came out couple months ago, maybe a month or two ago. But yeah, hi guys. So now we're finally ready. If you guys see me looking over here, I know that's away from the camera, but that's where you guys are on my second monitor. So I'm just looking through the chat. So can you guys hear us okay? All of that sort of stuff. Like, can you guys hear us and all that? Like, are we good to go? You guys can hear us fine. The chat is fine. I'm seeing some red in OBS for a minute, but we should survive because I've streamed on Twitch. We haven't streamed on YouTube in a while, but if we're good, guys, we can actually get in to this now. Okay, so, yes, it is Cinder time. Okay, this is Cinder, right? Like, we're not debating this. This is most likely... No, you can see her eyes. See? You can see her eyes
Can we talk about how cute baby Cinder is?
Yeah, I mean, I really like her little, what do you call them? Her little, I guess they're just buns, right?
Yeah, her little pigtails.
Hi, Arnold. Hi, Howell. Hi, Arnold saying hi to you. Hi, Hunter. But yeah, like, we are getting the Salem backstory. We already got that. The Cinder backstory, it's coming, guys. I feel like that they included this because they wanted to get people to shut the fuck up. Because we have been talking about this since Volume 7. Like, guys, when are we gonna see Cinder's backstory? This is them telling us, you're gonna see it. Just wait, okay? Yes. Right, so I feel like they included this to sort of, like, satisfy us, if that makes sense.
But it also raises a lot of questions still. Like,
Cinderella vibes, right?
So, I mean, everyone knew it was going to be Cinderella, but a lot of people thought, like, oh, is Cinderfall not her real name?
Yeah.
Are we going to learn Cinder's real name?
I'm feeling deep inside right now. So we had a theory that Cinder is Summer Rose's daughter. And then there's another theory that Cinder is Jacques' illegitimate bastard, and that she is actually Weiss and Winter's half-sister.
But that doesn't
With
look
this
like...
scrubbing,
That looks like minstrel.
Yeah,
Those are some minstrel floors if I've ever seen them.
Yeah, like, it doesn't really remind me of the Schnee Manor, but, like, seeing, I don't know, for some reason...
They're too bougie for
deep in
anything
my heart-
lower than marble
Deep
floors.
in my heart, I saw this, and I think that this is Schnee. I feel like that this is... Look, and she's dressed in white, and white was never Cinder's color. Right? And so that's another
maybe that
thing.
Speaks to her transformation.
Yeah, I mean, I could, but I'm just saying, like, she's wearing white clothes. She has an apron on, obviously, but, like, I just, looking at it...
She also has a red tie in the back.
Yeah, and so that's, like, representative of, like, the Schnee part and then the Cinder part, and then she develops into that Cinder part later. Do you guys understand what I mean?
My bigger concern are, like...
Wooden floors in a Schnee house? Nah.
Precisely,
yeah,
he gets
what
it.
I'm saying,
it's not bougie
right?
enough. Also, is
There's
that
still
mahogany?
so many Cal, what the fuck?
That's
going
not
on?
mahogany.
But yeah,
That's not even
I
oak.
feel like that's probably Mistral.
That is some
But does
like
that
look. That is some.
Does that mean
low
our
red
Rose and Schnee
softwood
theories
shit.
are dead though? If she's in Mistral,
You say
'Cause
ours.
Jacques
I always
could have
felt
sent
that it was
her
separate.
off to Mistral,
Maybe.
right? Like he could have sent her off to Mistral to get rid of her. You know, and this is where she ended up. That wouldn't be very nice.
My thing that I'm
you
really
know?
looking forward to is Jessica Negri gonna do this character voice?
Like just little.
Yeah, like me. Like
I don't know.
I think it might be a new Cinder,
Have we
like young
ever
Cinder
seen
voice.
that before? Did Ren and Nora
Yeah,
have
I think
new
they
voice
were,
actors?
I think they were new voice because like
Do you guys
Ren
remember?
was so light. Ren was probably voiced by a
Yeah, I
woman.
mean, Ren didn't have a lot of lines.
But it was very
know.
like Papa. Like
Yeah,
I think that it's
sure.
gonna be like a new voice, a new
But yeah, I
VA.
mean,
that could be
Jessica
interesting.
could do it, but they could also get someone that specializes in little kid voices to do it.
Yeah.
But she doesn't seem that little. She seems like she's
Maybe.
probably 10 to 14. I can't
Sure.
see her being any younger than 10.
Maybe just a
You
little
know,
bit less of a vocal
I feel like
fry?
she's
I don't
almost
know.
a teenager in this.
Okay,
in
maybe
this
they'll
sort of
keep-
shot.
maybe
Yeah,
they'll keep
Cinder is
Jessica
only
Negri.
like a teenager here. Yeah, I agree. I think that that's probably correct.
I guess she's like in her mid-20s in the
Yeah,
this year
because
was
I feel like
regular.
this is totally like teenage, like kind of like preteen, you know, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, guys, the Cinder backstory.
Can we also
it's
talk about
coming.
how cool like her outfit is? I just dig it.
I mean, it's very
interesting.
pirate in a weird
Yeah.
way. Like very pirate blouse, which what if that's what she? What if? Oh my god.
Oh my god! What if this is a ship? What if she was
Oh.
a pirate? What if
What if
that's
it is
a
a
pirate
ship?
What if she's like a scullery maid or
Do you
like
remember in
swabbing
the
the
DC
deck?
comics they had pirates?
I don't think I was around when you reacted to
Yeah,
those.
guys. Oh my god, guys.
What if she's
It's
a pirate?
It's a pirate
If
ship.
she's a
guys.
pirate,
it does
could
look
you
like a pirate
imagine?
ship, though. It kind of does. Like
What if
the floor.
What if she works
She's
at a?
swabbing the boob deck.
What if she like works at like a minstrel pirate ship? And what if
Yeah.
she's a pirate? What if
So,
she killed?
We had
Oh
this
my
like
God.
other theory that like Cinder and Raven are connected in some way, and they just don't know it yet. And
What
so
if Raven
like, what
worked
if like
with
this
her?
is the bandit? You know what I'm saying? Like a bandit situation. She
Yeah.
does have
Has
an
an
eye
eye
patch.
patch.
You got me there, guys. I don't know. Yeah. Interesting.
Yo-ho,
This is really
fiddly-dee.
weird. But yeah. Okay. So why don't we? I feel like we have
man.
nothing more to say on this right now, just because
No.
it is so little
Other
information. but-
than in the episode, the
Oh
switch
yeah,
from
guys,
the scratching.
I totally forgot. If you guys want to see our reactions, it's up on Patreon, and it's up if you become a YouTube membership member. I forgot to say that at the beginning, or at least I don't think so. So
You
yeah,
ruined
if you guys are
everything,
looking
pal.
for our specific
God
reaction
damn it.
to the episode, like now, that's where it is.
Someone
live
mentioned who's
chat.
the Peter Pan. What if we meet Captain Hook?
Oh my god.
What if she's like knows Captain Hook?
Oh dear. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's
then we
rough.
get the nail scraping, and
And
I
it
really
cuts-
like.
yeah.
I really like the idea of the scrubbing, and then her scraping her as if she's remembering,
Mhm.
right? As if she's keeping it like in
Or like
her
she's
head.
still that
she's
person.
still thinking
That's
about
still
it.
her motivation.
Yeah.
There's
and
a direct
I really
line
like that. I
between
think
that
was a really
Cinder
cool shot.
Being a pirate
Yeah.
and this Cinder
Being a
meeting
pirate.
a goddess. I don't know.
And yeah, I wait,
But
but
before-
they're in an airship, right? So for the
And they're a
parallel,
whale?
no, they're in an airship. So it's like going from the pirate ship
Ship
to
to
the
an
airship.
airship.
She was scrubbing the ship, and now she's on the ship doing the clickety clackety like with her nails. And
More
stuff
like
that.
a scratch.
what I
like you
mean?
can see the claw marks she
I know,
leaves
that's
on
what
the
I'm saying.
upholstery.
She was Talk's daughter. Oh god, guys, that was way too long.
Oh
Granddaughter.
god, what if she knew? Oh yeah, no. Talk
Yeah.
was like if she was alive, Talk would be in her 70s or her 80s.
So yeah,
Maybe
Cinder's just like, okay, Neo, this is our stop. Like, we're going there. And Neo's just like, what the fuck did I get
Before we bring that
into?
up,
Which
that
is
whole
so
contrast,
funny.
or that whole switch from the scratching to the scrubbing to the scratching, you see that a lot in that episode.
Yeah.
That those like dramatic jumps.
I really
dig that.
like how this episode was directed. Like, let me just say, I know we're gonna do a separate video on the OP, guys. So if you guys are wondering, we are going to do we did an analysis to the intro. I'm just waiting to see if the intro is gonna drop, because I thought it was gonna drop today and it hasn't. So we did do like a separate analysis on the intro, and like everything was just so well directed, or at least I think so.
Absolutely, I would agree. I mean, I made the pretty big claim that it was my favorite OP, and maybe it's just a moment, but like.
But yeah, look at this. Like, look at Neo and how like she's just like the fuck, and then Cinder's just like, yeah, that's our stop, and Neo's just like, oh, are you sure? Look at her face. She looks
like a nervous Uber driver. She's like, sure, want me to drop you off here? Like, no, here's fine. It's like, really? Sure, here's like, I know it's great. I can walk across the street.
But yeah. I really like it. And then we see the Grimm, and so we can sort of see that this is sort of the brain of the whale, but it also is where Salem is looking out. So I wonder if that's like a seer Grimm inside of the whale to look at.
My thing is that if they ever kill that whale, will all that orange stuff come oozing out?
Oh God, Hunter.
Will it be like the Great Molasses?
They posted the opening on Twitter. Okay, if they posted the opening on Twitter, I'll post it later probably. After we're done with this. So this is so funny. It's like Salem planned for that. Like she expected.
Not only that, there's 5.
I know.
There's that's like people
Tyrion,
are landing.
Hazel, Cinder, like Watts. I don't know. Like I feel like she definitely planned it out a little bit.
I like the idea of it pouring out of him. Like it's a base ship.
Yeah.
A mothership, and all like the smaller Grimm pour out.
It's very interesting because like I'm taking a sci-fi.
Also, what side of this? Is it like around the back? Is it the butt?
I don't think so. It's probably the ribs, Hunter.
Maybe.
Those look like ribs to me.
I don't know. Do you know what a whale's butt looks like?
I don't know, Hunter.
Exactly.
Oh my God. What was I gonna say? I'm taking a sci-fi class this semester, and it's very interesting to sort of discuss like how science fiction is sort of used to like convey a point. You know what I mean? Like aliens may be metaphorical for like people worrying about immigrants or something like that. Like that could be a metaphor. And so like it's interesting taking like that class as a whole, but then seeing like how RWBY, even though it's very magic, it is also very alien and very sci-fi as well. Like it's definitely like they say sci-fi fantasy, and I think it's more fantasy than sci-fi, but like looking at stuff like this is a mothership.
One of the main characters is a robot.
Right? And like when you think about the gods, are the gods not aliens like when you really think about it? Because they kind of are aliens,
you know, but also there's like a thin line between fantasy realms and
I
like
understand.
alien alternate
I just think
dimensions.
it's sort of interesting because like this is definitely like mothership situation. But yeah, so this is just like the oozing. This red line, I'm pretty sure this is like the power button, because if you see like that red line goes all the way up to Salem's
where
chair.
she seems to control.
Yeah, and we had a theory about that like when we first saw this shot in the OP, if that makes sense.
That it was the control room.
Yeah, basically the controls. Thank you for all the compliments on how I look, guys.
No compliments on how I look.
Please give Hunter compliments.
Really
but yeah, I was really feeling myself. Before we started our reaction, I was like, Hunter, I feel fucking hot.
Which is weird, because you're dressed as an ancient. It's like if I showed up dressed as a xenomorph and I'm crunched over and I got a long head. I'm like, I don't know, Cal. I feel sexy.
Hunter, you're beautiful. See, don't worry. But yeah, thank you guys. I'm trying to look at the chat, but then also like do this. But yeah, I really enjoy the idea that this is her control center and Salem's like plugged in. Like she's just like a little USB, and when she sits in that chair, everything just works,
before you go ahead, can I just I love, there's so many excellent surprised Neo faces.
Neo's facial expressions this episode, like they are, oh my God, what was
She's controlling! She's taking over!
She's taking over! You guys can't see that? Our Chrome just did something like whack. Anyway, it did something a little weird. It was like flashing. That's not normal. Anyways, hopefully everything's okay. But yeah, so to come back over here with Neo's facial expressions, like that was so good. Like, throughout the entire episode, you can see exactly what she's feeling, and she is just so well conveyed. Like, everyone's expressions are so good this episode.
Something happens in fan fiction a lot with Neo is that either they have her speak and just be very shy, or they have her use sign language.
Yeah.
I don't know why I did that. That's not sign language. That's finger guns. But I love how in the show they stick to the guns of like, no.
Yeah.
I mean, sign language would be cool.
Sign language
They're not
would
going
be
to have her
cool.
talk because she can really express herself so
Neo's
well.
out here regretting her life choices. She really is, though. She's like, look at this. She's like, what the fuck? And then she just has this worried expression on her face.
I wanted to
too.
kill you because I'm upset that you killed my boyfriend.
And so look at her
And
shock.
now
and then
I'm
she's
in
just
a whale.
so worried, right? And then she looks at Cinder like, Cinder, this
She's
is where you
almost
wanted to
picking
go?
up her cues.
Like, what?
I'm like, I'm not saying anything. You're talking to her.
And so then, you know, Neo
My queen.
sees Cinder bow down, and I feel like that's really important for Neo. Because think about Neo up until this point. Has Neo seen Cinder answer to anyone?
Yeah.
No. Cinder controlled Roman, she controlled Emerald and Mercury, she controlled everything at Beacon, and that's the last time Neo has seen her. And in their partnership, right, when you guys really think about it, in their partnership, Cinder has been in charge. So to see Cinder lower herself and bow down to Salem, I feel like that really has the wheels turning in Neo's head. And I think that it's a really good character moment. Thank you, Johnny, for becoming a YouTube membership member. I see that. We appreciate it very much. But yeah, so I feel like that Neo is definitely feeling that, if that makes sense. That she is seeing that there is someone that even Cinder is bowing to when Cinder is so arrogant and like won't let anyone else get the credit and like all that sort of stuff like that, right? And so I feel like that's so important. Yeah, Neo is realizing Cinder is just a pawn. Yep, exactly. And like that's a big thing in this episode too. And so the My Queen part, I feel like this is really interesting because Cinder's outfit looks very like knight, like chivalrous almost, like just the cape and all that. Like,
I don't know how many knights have thigh-high boots.
Not the boots. I'm talking about the top half.
My lady.
Oh boy, but yeah, you guys understand what I mean. Like it's very like, I don't know, like even the collar, like it's very royalty. You know what I mean? Like that reminds me of the prince's outfit in Cinderella, which again, could be kind of interesting.
Okay,
so like knight, prince, royalty energy, but like still being under Salem. And so this is interesting. So Salem's like, and
I expected her to smile. She doesn't
almost
really.
a smile. Like it's not a frown.
I know it tricks you.
It's a neutral expression.
Yeah, it's neutral.
You know?
It tricks you because it almost like, oh, she's gonna be happy to see it. Nope, she's not. She's like, listen, right? Know your spot.
Yeah, and so we have Cinder, and then like, when I chose you as my
God, you would be the worst.
I'm such a
Cinder.
bad Salem. Let me do my Salem impression. These are her lines. When I chose you as my vessel for the maidens, I put my trust in you, so I trust that you wouldn't possibly return to me empty-handed.
And instead of being boop 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 boop.
So yeah, and then the relic comes out, and look at Salem's face. The relic of Salem actually looks surprised. Salem actually looks like this bitch actually has the relic. Like, you know what I mean? Look at the change in her facial expression right there. Like, look at this, guys. Okay, well we have to go back, right? She's almost angry at first. She's almost like,
stern.
You wouldn't come back to me
angry.
empty-handed.
She's stern, and then
right?
she's like, oh.
And then look at this. And so she looks at it, and there's like a moment of acknowledgement, and then like look at her facial expression change. I really like that. She's just like, Cinder did something? What? Right? And so I really love how this scene, you know, really like went, I guess. I just like how
the
like
balance
Salem's
of power,
like,
because we're so invested in Cinder at this point that we kind of want to see her succeed, even though she's a villain. When we want, it's almost like like
she just failed so hard. It's time for
we
Cinder
just
to
want
get
Cinder to be loved by Salem,
right.
and so when we watch it, and so we feel like,
and so it's interesting to see Salem almost give her the validation. In
like,
that
are we
moment,
gonna see
right?
validation? But then
I mean,
we do,
it almost is. I think the surprise.
Don't.
I think the surprise is like almost Salem catching herself off guard for a minute. Like, and then she recomposes herself right away, not to let Cinder.
You know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of the Yang line from Volume 1, where she's like, "Wow, you really exploded," like that, like kind of low key. That like, oh, okay, all right.
I took it right from under Ironwood's nose. So this
great.
is hilarious. I love how Neo is like
this bitch. Please.
And so I feel like Salem is not an idiot, right? Like,
I know.
Salem had to have seen Neo's reaction, because Salem is very attuned to how other people feel and how she can manipulate that.
She's
right?
a real empath for a genocidal maniac.
Exactly. So I'm sure that she sees that Neo has this reaction, and like Salem's probably thinking, okay, Cinder, Cinder didn't do it all by herself.
But this is also
right?
representative, and we see this a little later when Emerald shows up, but this is representative that Cinder is not good at managing her.
Neo, am
She's
I a
not
joke
a good
to you?
manager.
Yeah, like I feel like we talked about this in the analysis a little bit, like for the intro, but I definitely think there's gonna be some Neo and Emerald related tension. It's like, cause Salem calls them assets or something, like you love collecting assets, so it's like, the personhood of Neo and Emerald, and I feel like the difference between Emerald versus Neo is that Neo is more likely to stand up for herself compared to Emerald, and I feel like
simping hard.
I do definitely want to see Emerald and Mercury upset that they have been replaced and that Cinder did not come looking for them so she could get the relic, or any of that
I also
stuff,
think
right?
that like Emerald and Neo are gonna have some camaraderie where they're both like, our girl Cinder doesn't like us very much.
Yeah.
And I also think that if we get to see more Cinder backstory, we'll get to see, like, okay, what's the situation that shaped her into the person where she only views people as that you can use them.
Yeah, and I think that we're definitely, like, something else that I think we're gonna get is somebody brought this up in my Discord server, and it's such a good point, and it's that in the intro, time freezes and Cinder's walking around, but then Emerald and Neo are unfrozen, and some people have theorized that that means that Cinder will be the one to summon Jin, and she will summon Jin somehow in the presence of Emerald and Neo, right? And so I feel like that's a very interesting theory that Cinder will use the question somehow, and that is why she's unfrozen and walking around in the trailer, and that could be
or
like a hint.
Or maybe it's the power.
It
could be, a lot of people in the chat are shipping Neo and Emerald. I'm very proud of you.
Oh.
I also love how...
what is it called? It's like mint chocolate chip or something, because Emerald is minty, and then like Neo obviously is Neapolitan. I'm down for it.
I also get in this
shipping
dynamic. I feel big like group assignment in school, and Neo did all the work, and Cinder gets the good grade.
Well, yeah, that
and
is.
It's like,
I mean, but
yeah,
I feel
all
like,
right, yeah, okay, you
like,
did the PowerPoint, bitch. I did everything.
I feel like that Salem will know better, though.
Yeah.
Like Salem is the teacher that knows really deep inside, like who did the work, and like Neo's gonna send an email explaining the problems in her group. So this is interesting. So this scene with Tyrion, if Tyrion touches a single hair, a single pink or brown hair on Neo's fucking head, right? I am going to I'm gonna throw
Who do you think would win in a fight versus...
I'm gonna be so mad.
Because, like, I think Neo could, like, probably fuck up Tyrion pretty good.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like, Neo's no slouch.
Because, like, I guess...
Neo is kicking Cinder's ass before she started using the maiden powers.
Tyrion fought Crow.
Yes.
But is Neo as strong as Crow? I would say no. I don't think so. I would say that Neo's like one rank under.
You know what
Crow.
I think it is? I think that she's afraid by maidens. That's why she didn't want to mess with
right.
Raven. That's
but
why
you
she
think
didn't want to
against
mess
Tyrion, she would go full throttle.
But like,
right?
I don't think Tyrion. I think Tyrion's very strong. I think Tyrion and someone else could beat a maiden.
Tyrion just needs one hit. Yeah, that's the other thing too, is that he has his poison.
Yeah,
right?
but like, I'm like,
I don't know.
If Neo's
I don't want to find out, Hunter.
Neo's slippery.
That's true.
You know, so I feel like she could dodge.
Think about the measuring here, okay? Like, Neo beat Juniper, sort of.
Yeah.
Right? Tyrion beat Juniper. So we at least know, you know what I mean? But I don't want to find out. I don't want to find out. I don't want to.
I want to find out.
I don't want to find out.
We talked about in our prediction videos that you should all watch. We talked about having a big whole brawl.
I know, but I don't want Neo to fight fucking Tyrion. Like that doesn't. I don't know. I don't want.
It's better that. Well, I also kind of want her to fight Juniper just so we get to see her turn into Pyrrha, and I want my heart to shatter into a billion pieces.
So let's talk about Tyrion. Outsmarting the general speaks less to your intellect and more to his. So
I
this
love
is
how
such
much
a
he
funny
talks shit
line.
to him.
Because obviously, if you guys haven't noticed, he's saying that Ironwood is an idiot, right? Like Ironwood's just a dumbass. And so it's not that Cinder is oh so smart. It's that, you know, it's like who can run fastest from the bear in terms of all of your friends. Like it's what is it? It's like, you may run fast, but at least I can run faster than you.
Yeah, it's like,
Like,
you don't have to be faster than the bear. I
Right,
just have to be slower
that's
than
what
you.
it is. That's what it is. So I feel like that's it with them.
Yes.
That's what Tyrion's
Can also we
saying.
talk about how, like, in Volume 4, and I think I remember talking about it at the time, we were like, I don't like this
Tyrion has gotten much better.
He's really blown up in Volume 7 and Volume 8.
Because there was a point where in Volume 6 where I was like, Tyrion is so fucking annoying. And we made this video about how much I started to, like, not like him and all of that.
Because he was just too much. They needed to, like, have him be more clever. And
but I feel like that now they got it. Like, now they understand what to do with him.
It's a good mixture of having him be, like, unhinged and also witty.
Exactly.
Whereas before he was only unhinged.
So how did
and he was sitting all weird on chairs and shit like Elle from Death Note.
How did Tyrion get up here?
That's a good... Did he get... Well,
like,
I mean...
Did he call a Grim? Oh, you know what he may have...
What?
No, but the plane was kind of broke. But that new plane...
He fucking ran.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess he... No, because that new plane took Crow and Robin away, so it couldn't have been the new plane. Guys, how did Tyrion get up here? Let me know. Because I could not tell you. I
He probably
have
just got
absolutely
picked
no
up.
clue.
I would totally believe him. Didn't that
He
happen?
just flagged down a Grim. He's just like,
Jumped
hey! Right?
I wouldn't be...
He spun his tail like a helicopter.
Like he's flagging down a taxi. Like, hello. He spun his tail like a helicopter. That'd be funny.
Because Salem saved him before. Do you remember that news report? She, like, broke him out and stuff. But, like, I don't know. I feel like he probably just stole another ship. But I just love the idea of him going like...
I like the idea of a seer Grim going up and being like, crackle, 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 crackle. Like, what is a deer? And it just shows Tyrion. It's like, oh yeah, scoop him up.
But yeah. After all, you were outsmarted by those children first. So when did that happen?
That would have been
I'm not sure what he's referring to.
I think it would have been in Volume... I think that would have been like the fight with Raven or Volume 3 where RWBY blasts her with the silver eyes.
Because he doesn't know what happened with the maidens, right? Yeah, you guys think he's talking about Volume 5? That makes sense. Okay. Because I was like, yeah, how does Tyrion know Cinder fucked up already? Nobody knows that. After all, you were outsmarted by those children first. I don't like this.
Do they even
look
know
at Tyrion looking at Neo and tell me that this is not... Like, look at this face. I don't like this, guys. I don't feel good about this at all. And, like, look at him. He's like, he looks like, fresh meat. That's a fresh meat face. I don't like that. And according to radio chatter, the same general and his forces outsmarted you.
Yeah. I mean, you definitely got him back
so I guess maybe the radio, like, said that Cinder and Neo were in the school, but then they know that, like... Or
like... Officer Down. We've lost Shallows.
I don't know.
Something like that, I'd imagine.
A shame. Oh, wait. Oh, that's Cinder talking. Yeah, and according to the same radio chatter, that same general and his forces outsmarted you. So at the radio, they were probably like, Watts is in prison. Yeah. Right? All that
we've
sort
captured
of stuff.
Okay.
I was a bit confused. I was like, wait a minute, because it doesn't say in our subtitles, so you have to go off memory. So I really like this rebuttal. Like, a shame Watts never made it back.
And I love how he just don't give a single fuck. He's like,
he doesn't necessary sacrifice. He does not give a single fucking shit.
Waluigi is expendable.
Well, here's the thing, too, is like, Watts had such a, I don't
Role
want to say bad opinion of Cinder, but he had such,
he was
very rude to Cinder.
In Volume 4, more so than Tyrion was.
And so, I doubt that, I bet, like, Cinder's like, oh, if I never have to see Watts again, I will be happy.
I bet you Salem's right there,
happy about
where she's like, God damn it, when I was searching up my henchmen on Evil Indeed, I probably shouldn't have picked up so many psychopaths.
Oh, dear. But yeah, so, I love how Tyrion's just like, I don't
the doctor
care.
is a necessary sacrifice.
Okay.
Hate to see him. Miss him. Ripping pepperoni.
I do hope this little one doesn't become another. So this is where I'm like, Tyrion, if you fuck with Neo, like, I'm coming for you, Tyrion. And so look at how Neo's like sizing him up, and then she's like, wait a second, he's talking about me? And so then she's like, she has, if Arnold can bring back the Arthur meme, because that was a big thing in my I'm gonna post that on Twitter later.
Yeah,
look at Neo. She's so tiny, and she's so like,
She is like,
it
18
so
feet
much,
of
guys.
rage in a 4'5"
Look at
package.
this.
You know who she reminds me of? She reminds me of Scrappy Doo from Scooby-Doo,
Oh
just
my
tiny
God.
and wants to fight everyone.
Thank you, the Cookie Clan, for becoming a Calxiyn Royal Advisor. I think that's a tier where you get the reaction. So, thank you very much. The fact I'm, like, confused on my own Patreon tier name is probably not a good sign. But yeah, I'm pretty sure that's a $10 one. Thank you very much. I hope that you enjoy the reaction if you go to see it, and we love to see it. And so this happened. Who is she?
it?
Yeah, so now Salem's like investigating.
Okay, which
a little
I want to
bit.
bring this up.
Yeah?
She's probably not a Grimm
No,
if Salem doesn't know who she is.
Don't tell me, okay?
I just throwing it out there.
Why would Salem like put out all her cards right now? You know
Well,
what
why
I mean?
wouldn't she? She's among her, like...
But why would she be like, oh, you're a Grimm? But like, why would she? How can she just say that? Like, it's like, do you know that scene
Who is
from
she?
Mean Girls? It's like, Karen, you can't just ask people why they're white or whatever, right? Like, you can't just, how is she gonna be like, oh, well, I noticed that you're possessed by a Grimm. Like, she can't say that. Like, it's a card for later. And if she says it now, Cinder will know. And Cinder will know that Salem's eyes are always on her, right? So I feel like that it wouldn't be beneficial for Salem to reveal this information in front of everyone if Neo is a Grimm. That's my argument. Yeah. Because it's useful for later, right? And so she says, "Who is she?" Right? And so that's pretty like who is this girl that seems a little?
I love how like relaxed the security is on the whale, because it's just like
anyone can
just
just walk up.
in. It's like, I don't know.
There's a pretty good chance if you just like
Is
walk
there no
in, you're
Grimm
gonna die.
bouncer?
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, if Ironwood just strolled up, he'd be dead.
I guess so,
So
probably.
like, there's probably, and Salem can probably feel the energy of people walking and stuff like that if she's sitting in the chair. It's a surprise tool that will help us later. Exactly. The chat feels me. Some of the chat's agreeing with Hunter, though, so we'll just ignore that.
I will, like always,
chat's
ignore the dissenting opinions and assume everybody wants me their dear leader.
Anyway, very Salem of me. Neapolitan has some very useful abilities. So there's not even a like, hey, do you remember that fucking idiot we used to work with, Roman Torchwick? Right? There's not even any like brought out like, oh yeah, she was Roman's sidekick.
That also means
Did Salem even know about Roman?
That's
the question,
yeah,
right?
Did Salem knew about Hunter 2024? Someone says in the chat. Did Salem maybe knew about Roman, but didn't know about Roman's people?
Yeah, and so
or was Roman only Cinder's idea? Was that not even Salem's
I doubt
idea?
Salem even knew his name, because I guess Roman would be Cinder's asset, so I doubt Salem would have known.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But I'd be surprised that no one said Cinder did not say, "Oh yeah, Neapolitan has worked with us in the fall of Beacon." She didn't say anything like that.
I feel like she knows the main people, but I wouldn't be surprised if she doesn't know Mercury and Emerald's name. You'd just be like, oh, the brooding one and the simp. Can you bring them over?
Has anyone ever called Neo by her full name?
Neapolitan. Yes.
Nora did, and Roman did.
No, Roman would always say Neo.
Okay. Maybe
Other
they
people
just guessed
said
the rest. I don't know. I don't know how they knew, but yeah. I mean, she probably just told them. But yeah, Nora has said Neapolitan. She was like, Neapolitan. Right. So, yeah. Anyway, has proven to be a valuable asset. But then Neo's face is like, asset? We're supposed to be, working together. And, Neo
we all did equal parts of the projects. No, you did not!
I think it's
funny.
No,
you did not!
Because it's to the audience, it's so obvious, right?
Yeah.
But, to Neo, I feel like she's only ever been in a partnership where they were equals.
Equal, yeah.
Right? To be an asset, not even to be a sidekick, to be a fucking asset, that's downgrading, right?
Because Roman was a dick.
Yeah.
But he respected Neo. Exactly. And we stand a king who understands, who appreciates and loves his girlfriend. But you know what I
mean? Because it's weird because, you know how they, surprise Pikachu face? How can you be surprised? Yeah. You know what I mean? For part of me is really, Neo? How can you expect this to go any other way? Right? Also, but it's easy for us to say, you know?
I also, Salem's line, you certainly enjoyed collecting assets. People are in the chat are like, ooh, assets. Yeah. I feel like Cinder's in the background with a bloody nose being like, yeah,
Resurrect
assets.
Roman and cancel Cinder. They called her that in that episode. Okay, let me just see what you guys are talking about, just so I can...
A lot of people are saying assets.
Yes, I see that.
I don't think Cinder is thirsty for one thing and one thing only.
Yeah.
Power and maybe Salem.
Maybe Salem, but yeah. So, yeah, and you certainly do enjoy collecting assets, and I'm just like, what?
That is true. When you think about it, like, watch Tyrion and Hazel work alone.
Neo's
Cinder
definitely...
has, like, 3 underlings
Neo's
now.
definitely in thinking mode. Like, she's looking at this, and she's like...
We're gonna have a silent one-way conversation about this later.
We need to talk about this, like... Right, she's already thinking, like, what
Man,
the fuck?
when I do the peer review afterwards, your ass is getting... She did not contribute. She was not helpful in the group dynamic.
So, yeah.
I'm gonna have critiques for you.
How can Neo be surprised? I mean, while would probably remember how Cinder treated Roman. I mean, I feel like maybe she thought it would be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Isn't that like a lot of people, like you hear that like in abusive relationships a lot? Like, I thought I could change him. Like, I thought she could or whatever, right?
Also, like,
and so I feel like that's sort of like
Cinder
that,
and
right?
Roman were pretty on the level. Like,
Yeah,
they
that's
had
the
an
other
understanding.
They didn't totally mistreat Roman.
There wasn't, like, they were, you know, they needed each other. Right? It was more
I feel like
equal.
Cinder was more equal with Roman. Yeah, I think Neo is realizing by agreeing to work with Cinder, she became a pawn and asset to Salem inadvertently. Yeah, and so I feel like Neo's just like, I just wanted to kill RWBY, sis. Like, how? Like, why are we here?
Well, speaking of her other assets...
Yes! Oh my god! I did not think... I really thought they were gonna keep Emerald and Mercury at home. So we did not even include them as a possibility on our fucking bingo card. Like, so many people predicted it, but in my, like, I don't know.
I thought we weren't going to see
On
Hazel.
one hand, I thought that we could see them.
Okay.
On the other hand, I was like, but there are just so many characters. Like, they could just leave them at home, right? And so I was a little mixed on the feelings, but they're here now, so I'm glad.
Can I just vent for a while?
Go ahead. Go
Mercury's
off, Hunter.
costume was Mercury's outfit was always my least favorite. Like, it was bland, it was boring. This is great. I love the jacket. I love the insignia. I even love the pop of orange. I don't even know what that thing is on his leg.
Probably
that thing there. Is that a weapon?
It's a giant what do you call it? It's a giant paperclip. That's what it looks like.
Is it a snap bracelet? Is it the goddamn 90s and he has a snap bracelet?
What was Mercury's weapon?
Is his feet.
Just his feet? Then what's this shit?
I don't know. It might be a new weapon. I dig it. It's such a nice... He looks like a biker asshole.
I think having his insignia, like... I feel like it's really nice.
Can you grow up?
No,
it's
not the same
really.
hair. But yeah, I really like how they have his little foot thingy, because when you think about it, like, it's really been a while since the characters' insignias have mattered, if that makes, like, I don't want to say it that way, but think about Neo's is like this ice cream. This 3-circle image, right? And I don't remember Emerald's is this, like, diamond, and, like, in the early volumes of RWBY, right, like, Cinder's emblem was on her sometimes, at least. But, like, there hasn't really been that, you know what I'm saying? Like, there hasn't really been that
Someone in the chat suggests make Mercury's jacket real. People would buy that.
Oh, God, they would. I don't know
if... Would you?
No.
Would that be another Annie Hall video?
Well, I don't like the orange on him, but that's just...
But the orange also works because it pops up in different spots.
Emerald looks the best.
It is amazing. I love that jacket. I love the green. It blends with her hair way better. The jacket, I don't know if anyone's going to pick this up. I mentioned it to you. In the 1990s Spider-Man cartoon, the villain Shocker had that same kind of texture that crosses.
It reminds me of like a fashion brand. I can't remember what.
Gucci?
But,
no, Versace. Versace does.
It also reminds me of like an Animal Crossing. Like there's the characters' clothes like LaBelle and all that stuff. Like it's a designer porcupine, and she has a collection with that sort of texture.
I also love how she looks at the tundra and she says, "Nah, the belly button is out."
Even despite that. But yeah, I mean, okay, so what I really like about this is that
she keeps the belt
A
Wrong
lot of
color
people
stuff.
like tend to complain like, oh, Yang's color's supposed to be yellow, but she's in brown. Like, and I complain about that too. I don't like Yang's outfit, but with Emerald,
It's
I
the
feel like
pop.
the white really ties everything together because, like, when you think about Emerald, I do think that you think mint chocolate chip ice cream, really, even though that's a ship name. I feel like you do think of those colors. You think of brown because
Yes,
a lot of
skin
her
color.
outfit used to be brown,
Yeah.
and then you think of the emerald color, right? And so I feel like that has all of the elements that like make sense. The brown from like her pants and stuff, I don't remember like which parts of her outfit were brown before, but like that brown is still on like the pant things
The
and all
green
that
is
stuff
a little more minty.
on
I dig
this
it.
like jacket, and I like the pop of white just ties it together. Like this looks like ice cream. I don't know how to explain it, but this
I
this
wanna
color
eat your
scheme is
jacket.
ice cream color scheme.
Your
right?
jacket looks tasty.
I like the pattern. I do like that, you know, they have the little pops in like the places where it makes sense. So like right here in her boob window. I really like this little gem that matches her eyes. I really like these
I love how
little
she like
accents.
she gets the push-up bra because she knows she's seeing Cinder again.
Yeah.
Throwing that out there.
And so the white makes her stand out more. And
You
I
see
feel
a wide
like,
shot, and she's in like black boots, like the
yeah, we'll keep
later.
going
There's only a
little
few
bit.
wide shots, but her boots are black, and so it blends with her belt and
Yeah.
then like the cuff.
Because I feel
and
like
her
here's the thing,
lapel.
like Emerald and Mercury felt very like desert
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
like
very deserty. Yeah,
you know, on the street type thing, which is obviously like that's Emerald's character. She lived on the street, but now she has this glow up where it's like
Oh, God.
she's fashionable and like
Yes.
almost like it's like the Aladdin transition. It's sort of like, you know how Aladdin like in the movie he like has this like whole prince outfit and the prince outfit is white with those like purple and gold accents. That's what this reminds me of. Is before we saw Street Rat Emerald and this is the transitionary Emerald into a more Prince Ali Emerald, right? And so I feel like that makes a lot of sense. The brown was on her pants, but the white was on the short strapped shirt. Okay. Yeah, I don't really remember, but yeah, I think the white was definitely a good choice. Very, again, Prince Ali type sort of thing. And so I feel like that is why she's getting the glow up, because we are in Aladdin time. Aladdin time, if that makes sense.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
I can't wait for
when you put it in terms of character development, the outfit's growing on me. Now for Mercury,
I dig it. It's better than the old one.
I don't think Mercury's a big character development representation thing. I think they just gave him new
a biker.
clothes, right?
I honestly, but yeah, no, I mean, I think I like Mercury, but compared to like Emerald, blows him out of the water.
And so, Emerald, like,
She's
runs
so happy.
towards her, like, to give her a hug, and Mercury's just like, really, bitch? Like we talked
"Read
about
the
this.
room."
Don't you remember our conversation in Volume 6? Right? Like, right? And so I feel like that...
Wide shot of her running over.
Yeah, so I don't know how I feel about the bottom of her pants now that I'm seeing
they
it.
fray.
Like, they're bell bottoms. They
Oh.
look like mom jeans.
Oh,
you know
that's
what I mean?
cowboy.
I kind of... Cowboy
Ooh.
Emerald. I kind of like that, though, and I like the boots. I think I do like
thought
the
it would.
boots.
I thought it would be like boots that she's trying to imitate Cinder, but I do like the bell bottoms.
Yeah.
I dig it.
I think that I think it does look nice. And so you're here. I knew you'd come quiet, and so it's like almost like you're embarrassing me.
And
then we
Ooh.
saw this, and I was like, oh
Ooh.
my god.
God, the daddiest of the daddies.
Wow, guys.
He looks
this
like
is a queer eye transformation, as Hunter said.
he looks like anime characters from the 80s when they were all giant like brick shit houses.
They really said
He looks like fucking
Daddy
like
kink
Jotaro.
for this.
Yes.
For this. I love, okay, so
Look
I feel
at his
like
muscles.
they really fix...
His muscles are braided like Weiss's hair.
Like, they really fixed the color scheme, because a lot of people's criticism of the villains was it's like, Hazel is brown and Tyrion's brown, and like, it wasn't interesting, right?
Oh, I
They
guess
said
it's
that the outfits from before,
man.
a lot of people had criticisms about that they weren't colorful,
Bland.
they were very bland, but with this, I feel like we get, like, I like the green and I like the yellow, because that does remind me of Hazel. It matches his eyes really, really nicely. I think that the muscles are a good addition, because
God,
I
you could
feel
grate
like
cheese off of him.
this is how I imagine Theodore. from the Ruby Before the Dawn books, like the other headmaster.
Yeah.
That body type is what I imagined him to have, and so I hope that this is like buff man rights. Because when I think about buff men in RWBY, like really buff men, like it is like, look at Hazel. Holy shit! Like I want buffer men.
Does he? How many? What a pack is that? How many packs is that?
Oh my god, it's so many packs, guys.
My god.
Yes. I really, like, he looks like a Minecraft character.
I mean, he's very blocky.
Is that a spider web tattoo? I think that's just his scars and his ribs.
I also like that they fixed his hair. Before it was floofier and his beard was, it's like they really cut it down.
This is definitely fan service. Also, what a daddy, Papa Hazel. Oh my god.
God, he's the most daddy. I feel like Gira
I wasn't into Hazel,
down.
but he's a snack. Oh god.
I feel like Gira used to be the daddiest, and now he is the daddiest.
I think the hair could also be like, oh my god, somebody's calling me. We're gonna ignore that. Anyway, so when we look at Hazel, right, I feel like that this is also, like, I don't want to look into it too much, guys, but I feel like it's representative of his feelings, like with the hair down, because his hair was down before, wasn't it? Like,
someone said in the chat, Hazel's been shoving too much protein dust.
Oh god, like the hair was like chaos and like anger at Ozpin, but then slicked back, it's like he's regained himself. He's regained the calm.
Also,
he believes that they'll find Oscar. Like, you know what I mean? Like something like that.
What barbershop is this man going to?
Yeah, so here's the question, and somebody said that in the chat. Like, how did they get, like, did they go shopping in Atlas? Like, how did they get these? Did they go back to Vale and pillage some clothing stores?
Is there like a knitting boutique?
Like, how? Yeah, I mean, I don't want to ask too many questions, but here's my thought, is that they went back to Vale, and in all those shops that are abandoned, they just picked out some new clothes. That's how I think about it,
Someone in the comments says we need a shirtless Hazel scene, and I agree.
Yeah.
God
This entire chat needs to go to horny jail. Oh, God.
Also, we go back, it kind of almost looks like his pants are high. Like, he has your grandpa.
I don't think
he has grandpa pants.
I think the pants probably stopped there, Hunter.
But
that
like,
makes
look,
sense.
there's
That's
green.
his waist.
Okay, I guess no,
the
that's his
just
shirt.
Over.
Okay, yeah.
Right, and so look, like Emerald's just like heartbroken.
He saw Weiss and was like, okay, so belts are in fashion.
Oh boy.
And he strapped them both in to keep the sex appeal.
But yeah, look at this. Look at how Emerald like looks over at Tyrion and then back to Salem. So devoted to someone so incompetent. Well,
that's not even a slam on Emerald. It's a slam on
I'm really
Cinder.
curious what Emerald will think now that her senpai is back. Yeah, like I totally agree with that. Just because it's like, obviously Cinder does not care about her,
they haven't really had a scene together.
And Tyrion's sort of calling it out. So I'm really excited to see that dynamic. I wonder if Emerald, Mercury, and Neo will be forced to work together. And all that sort of stuff.
Well, I don't know.
While the good doctor and I were advancing the will of our goddess.
She's there.
Dismembering the very body of this kingdom. You were merely atoning for past
some
failures.
Real bodies.
And so Neo looks at Cinder like, are you gonna let him talk to him like that? I feel like it's also a look like past failures. Like, what did you do? Right? How did y'all fuck up? Because Neo wasn't at Haven.
No. So she really doesn't know about any of that. I mean, I guess she does know about it because it was on the news, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if
but
she
keeps up with the news. But she probably doesn't know the extent of how Cinder fucked up there, right? Paulindina's creation interfered with the transfer. So that's interesting.
They say Paulindina like they know. They're more concerned
right? They're more concerned about Pietro.
Than with her. Like they knew about
remember,
him
Cinder calls Penny a toy. So it's not even Penny interfered. It's just Dr. Paulindina's property, right? It's sort of showing how Cinder feels like Penny's just property, how Penny's just, you know, somebody else's toy. She is a thing. She did not interfere.
The way Neo and Emerald and Mercury are toys to her.
Oh, illusion duo. Yeah, so now that Emerald's back, the chat is actually making a really good point. Because we had this theory that, like, you know, there would be stuff like Neo turning into Pyrrha to freak people out. But now that Emerald is here, not only could they turn into other people, but they could create more advanced illusions. Like, imagine if Emerald, Cinder, Mercury, and Neo are all in a fight with Juniper, and they bring them back to the school on the day Pyrrha died, and then Neo turns into Pyrrha. Like, that would be so fucked up. Like, that would be like psychological warfare. Do you guys remember? I said that this volume, this is the psychological psychological warfare volume, okay?
This
and
is already
happening.
fucking
They can even do that to
terrifying me already.
Ironwood. Like, they could bring Ironwood's worst nightmares to life if Emerald and Neo get into a room with him. Rip to Ironwood, though. Sad for that. Sad for him, right? And so, yeah, let's go back over here. The Winter Maiden power, but I know she has it, and once I return to Atlas, it won't take long to finish what I started.
I love how
she's so sure of herself.
Yeah.
Right?
She, like, the delivery was great here. It was like, I'm gonna get it. It zooms in. It's so, like, she's dominating in the frame, but then Salem comes right after and is like, no, you're not.
Yeah, so that's really interesting, right? And so when you look at this, right, like, then, you know, I feel like, could she be controlling the Grim Arm here? Because there's something about how Cinder is startled for a minute that, like, made me, like, wonder if she's, like, almost, like, making her feel something, like, by lifting up her hand like that. Because she says, I've given no such command, and then when you look back at Cinder, you know, I don't know, there was just something, like, maybe if you guys saw it in motion, if you look at the actual, like, thing, like, there's just a shot right before the hand shot. I just feel like there may be something there. I don't know.
I think it's more to the idea that everyone's hanging on her word, and the second she says shut up, everyone shuts up, and the second she waves people to leave, everyone runs out of the building.
Yeah, I feel like that maybe she could have just jolted her or
it's trying to,
I don't know.
I mean, maybe that's true, but I think it's about, like, they're trying to communicate that she is in power.
Yeah, I just sort of wonder about the Grim Arm, I guess, is all I'm saying. But yeah, I've given no such command. I really like that, too. But it's like, why wouldn't she want Penny? That's the question.
Startled Pikachu noise.
Yeah, right? But why doesn't she want Penny? Why doesn't she want Cinder to get Penny?
Because she has a different plan. She's just
what's
going to invade
the plan?
full
And
on.
so we'll talk about that. And
now
so,
is the time to but I think that's the idea. Like, we're just going to charge in with the whale.
I wonder if it's like, I feel like that we're back to psychological warfare, because I feel like Salem knows that eventually if she attacks the city, Ironwood and Penny, because they don't know that Penny and Ironwood aren't talking. So that's Salem probably thinks if she keeps attacking the city, they'll just hand Penny over, right? And there won't be a fuss, if that makes sense. But she doesn't know that Ironwood and Penny aren't talking yet, right?
That's
and all that stuff. So she must think, you know, if I keep attacking the city, like, eventually Ironwood will just give up. That's how I could sort of see it.
There is a
I don't know what you guys are
there.
thinking, but, like, that's sort of what I'm thinking, is that could be why Salem's like, nuh-uh, we're not doing things, like, with, like, that way. You're not gonna go in and get her. Ironwood is gonna fall on his knees and bring her to us. That is sort of how I see it. Right?
Or it's just like, you were useful before I had a whale.
Yeah.
Now I have a whale.
And so this game is not yours to win, Cinder. It's mine. And so I really like that reminds us all that even though, like, everything started with Cinder, but it has really been for Salem. This is her millennium running game. Right? And so I feel like that's so important. And so I really like this because it just shows again that, like, those wires, like, are connected all throughout the Grim, that she's in control.
I also like, how does this manifest? Like, is she,
feel like
silently talking to the whale? I want the whale's voice to be like, oh.
Well, that giant cloud that's inside of its head, I guess those are its eyes.
Yes.
I guess.
I don't know if I talked about it on here, but I kind of want a scene where the whale dies and then all of that orange, yellow stuff spills out, or it's like brutal and terrible.
Cinder cares about the maiden powers for herself, but Salem only cares about the maiden powers for obtaining the relics, right? She stopped caring about the spring maiden now that knowledge is open. Yeah, I think that that's true. I think that's definitely true, but she doesn't want Cinder to know that, or else Cinder will abandon her. And I feel like that we are building up to Cinder, like, leaving Salem and striking out on her own, because she realizes that Cinder does not care about getting her the power that she wants. Because, like, even, again, like the chat is saying, I think that's so true. They just let Raven go. Because the only purpose of the maidens is to get them to open the vault. Right?
Yes.
And all that stuff. And so I really like this scene. I just like to see, like, the divide. Like, you have Hazel, Emerald, and Mercury, and I think Mercury is... I think that this shot is representative of how loyal each character is currently, if that makes sense. Let me know if you guys agree. But looking at this, so you have Salem, you have Hazel and Tyrion, who I think they're still pretty on board. Then you have Cinder and Emerald, who I think are in the middle. You have Mercury, who has really been doubting this, right? Like, he wants... the fuck bitches get money. That's what he said, but I feel like
listen, he joined because he hated his dad, and they had
But I feel like the more he sees, the
sleep.
more he may want to
just bow out.
Right.
Not even it won't even be emotionally charged for him like it will be for Emerald, or maybe even Mercury or even Neo. It'll just be like, I'm not about this.
Exactly.
I like having
and
a
Neo
world to
is
live
on
in.
the same end, right? So Neo, we know, is hesitant already.
Yes.
And so I feel like that's the connection. It's Tyrion most loyal to Salem, Hazel most loyal to Salem, Cinder and Emerald are sort of in the middle at this point. They, they aren't really sure. Whereas Neo and Mercury are like, bitch, like, I'm outie,
I feel like
done.
Neo's
right?
less like, I think she's frightened of Salem just because Salem's
this
frightening.
is what she wanted, though. Like, this isn't what Neo wanted. She just wanted to kill RWBY.
But I think she's more in it than that she just felt like she wasn't being appreciated by Cinder.
I agree. But do you understand what I'm saying, Hunter? I'm looking at this and I'm like, all Neo wanted was revenge, right? And I think, you know what I could see, though? I could see Salem being, like, her new mom and all that stuff. I think that Neo could really fall into the trap of that just because Roman, like, we don't know the extent of their relationship, but to me, I kind of see Roman as, like, dad and then Neo as, like, child. And so I think that the same thing could happen where Neo actually does get attached to Salem. I could see that happening, honestly.
True.
But I don't know. But I feel like she is going to bounce from maybe helping just Cinder. I think that maybe Neo will feel more loyal to Salem compared to Cinder.
I don't think that'll happen because I feel like Salem's not in the mood to, like, dole out, like, good feelings right now.
Yeah. I don't know, because I always had this theory that, like, Salem and Neo would bond over the fact that they both lost someone that they loved, and that would be, like, something that really connects them, that they both lost, like, Salem lost Ozma and Neo lost Roman, and I always felt like that would be a big thing, and that Neo would sort of, Salem would say, hey, if you want, like, if you stay here, if you get the Relic of Creation, we can bring Roman back, and that would, like, convince Neo to say. Maybe Cinder will do that? I don't know, but I feel like, I don't know.
Because I feel like before, when we've seen Salem be all, like, touchy-feely, it's when she was, like, back at her mansion, at her castle, just kind of hanging out. But now she has a mission. She's, like, single-minded.
But yeah, I don't know. I feel that Neo and Mercury are uncertain at the very least. I don't know how that's going to manifest.
And Emerald.
I just really like the idea of, like,
people are talking
this heartfelt relationship between Neo and Salem over lost love and stuff. I just really like that idea, but I don't know.
But also, that could be, like, kind of between Emerald. Like, I kind of fell in love with this girl who doesn't care about me. And it'd be like, listen, I had me a man. He loved me. I was his queen. Get you a better person to simp at.
Yeah.
I enjoy the phrase simp quite a bit. I also see a lot of people in the chat talking about how Mercury is more loyal to Salem than Emerald. I believe that's true, but I feel like he doesn't have much loyalty so much he's just along for the ride.
Yeah, because, like, it was Emerald who was more hesitant before.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I feel like Mercury being at the end could represent that he will become more hesitant as things go on, if that makes sense. And I think that, like, I think Hunter's right. He's not loyal to Salem. He is loyal to the idea. Like, he is loyal to getting paid, but he is not loyal to her as a concept.
He's a mercenary.
He is loyal to anyone who will fulfill his desires,
He's a
right?
mercenary,
and so I feel like that's the difference. Like, it's a small difference, but it's also a big difference, right? Like, he does not feel anything for Tyrion. He does not feel anything for Salem. He doesn't feel anything for Cinder. He has no loyalty to Salem. He's only loyal to the cause that Salem is bringing about, this revolution, if you want to call it that, right? That's what I think anyway. Everything is already in motion. All you need to concern yourself with is the ability to act when I tell you to. And so I feel like that, And then we got this scene, and so I feel like that...
She's hiding herself.
We talked about that. She's hiding her eyes. In an anime, that usually means a character's lying. And so I don't know if Cinder really believes that. I think she's just saying that to appease Salem at this point, right? I was really expecting, like, a face grab there. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a very anime, like, lifting up the eye sort of thing. But yeah, I'm not sure.
But that's a really great, I don't know, and then she just kind of waves off.
She waves them off.
Also, something we can't talk about, or maybe we forgot to talk about because we don't hear it, is right now they have, like, chanting music.
Yeah.
And it's the first time I think chanting has ever been in RWBY's music.
No, it's happened before in Volume 3 and stuff like that. There's been chanting a lot, Hunter.
Oh, well, that's a good sign.
You probably just didn't notice that before. Know. And, like, the villain stuff, like, the chanting happens a lot, like, with the villain stuff.
And it definitely gave me, it was, I don't know, it was powerful. I also feel like next time we're gonna see some sort of scene where, like, they all leave and then they join in like a different room in the whale, which isn't that a weird sentence, and they'll have a big conversation. Like something will happen. This isn't the end.
I can see Neo and Emerald and them all talking.
Yeah.
After this, about like what to do next and what their orders are or what their orders aren't, right? You know, Cinder may be like, I'm going anyway. You guys can either come with me or like not, right? Like I feel like that could be the motion or something like that. Cinder's Limit-Teeth has chanting, doesn't it? I'm not sure, but I do know that the chanting happens in Volume 3 and it happens usually in the villain area, if that makes sense. So let's talk about this. So this is like the mine area. And
but
this
also
is probably
like a shanty town?
Close to the crater. I don't think this is a town as much as
look
it's
at all
a
those
work
buildings.
area.
Like those look like people's houses.
I mean, they could also be like little storage areas, Hunter. That's how I don't know.
They don't look, they're too small to be storage.
I mean, they look big on the ground. I don't know. But there are a lot of Faunus over here. And so it could just be maybe the outskirts of the city. Like some people live on the outskirts.
They call it a slum.
Oh, okay, maybe.
Also, like you mentioned this when you were discussing
I
it, but,
really like
hair.
this girl's hair. I'm so glad because like, okay, Ruby has gotten somewhat, like in the past, Ruby has been lazy when it comes to implementing black hairstyles. I don't know why, considering Genlock, like I think Chase's sister has like braids and stuff like that, so I don't know what the problem is, but in the past we've always sort of like criticized the fact, like for Flint, for example, like his hair, like they didn't really do anything special with his hair. I'm glad to see improvement because this implies curls, if that makes sense, right? Like this is obviously like a black hairstyle,
just very like
right?
very kinky hair.
Yeah, and so I appreciate that. I think that they definitely took the criticism from last volume, right?
It's a shame that she has pigtails and she's not a pig faunus. I feel like that's a serious loss of opportunity.
Wait, who?
That girl there. She has sort of the pigtails.
Oh!
I guess they're not pigtails.
Well, I think they're not pigtails, though. They're like buns, almost, right? Like, pigtails are more, like, at the front, right? And so, I think, like, I guess, I don't know. I guess they're both dog faunus, because they both have ears. I also think that it's good that they're putting more POC specifically as faunus, because it is, like, that's what the metaphor
more or less
is, right? And so a lot of people have criticized, like, okay, you have this faunus, but they're a white woman still, right? And so I like that they're trying to include more diversity into the background, right? And so you have, like, this girl as well. I really like her bun. It's not as, like, it's not as, volume, I guess, but does this guy not just have Forrest's hair? I think he also has some
what if that's Forrest's brother?
Oh god, Forrest is long lost brother. Probably more like reusing the assets,
probably.
But yeah. And so then we
Can
come
we
over
talk
here.
about Fox Girl? I love Fox Girl so much.
I love it too. I
Mozilla,
think this was such a
my
good
girl Mozilla. I love her so much, and we don't even. God, I really hope that she's.
I think that.
I hope we see more of her.
What was I trying to say? I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying? Oh yeah, you know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of the human interpretations of like Twitter and Mozilla and Google Chrome.
Oh, like the anime girl?
Yeah, like the anime girls, that's what it reminds
Internet
me
Explorer
of, right?
Kun or whatever her name was. I remember
But yeah,
that.
I really like that design. I really like this guy. Like he looks like very like wolf-like.
My favorite is yet to appear.
And so it's nice that the Faunus just like let Oscar sit here though. You know what I mean? They don't seem to be hostile towards him. They know he's having like a bad day or something.
It's like we saw you fall from the sky.
Maybe they did. So this is super unique. I love this design. This little old man, I see old men and I'm just reminded of like my grandfather and stuff like this.
Vibes.
Like my grandpa doesn't have a mustache.
He's a little guy with a cap and he's giving people food. That's very much so your grandfather.
The outfit is so cool.
Yeah, the little mole
I like the glasses and I love like the badger hands. I think that that's really cool that they're able to incorporate more Faunus traits into like basically one-off characters, but it gives like more world building, right? And so I feel like that's really like cool.
I also love how the guy's glasses kind of implies like moles have little beady eyes.
Yeah,
like the glasses
I think that's really nice.
They're incorporating it.
And so it's so nice that they're like
outfit.
feeding him. They're just like this poor little boy. Oh look, he's so happy. It's
Everybody
like,
gets one sip.
His face is a little weird from this side, but anyway.
You're a cute little man.
So then, man, heads up. I thought that was Ozpin that said heads up. Anyway, maybe the subtitles didn't know.
Maybe.
But yeah, and so at first you're like,
Everyone
combat,
pieces
but
out.
obviously Team RWBY.
Though I would be
has the
hilarious
airship,
if the
right?
mole man dug a hole in the ground.
Oh
I
dear.
will-
He's like, get me out of here. I mean, they're not that, you know what I mean, Hunter?
They're not
They're not
that.
that strong, right? But yeah, I like, the needle lift. I thought that was cute, but Oscar didn't smile. Right? It just sort of faded, right? So it's like RWBY's trying to be optimistic, but Oscar
We
does
also
not
thought there was going to be way
reciprocate,
more of
which
a
is
split up
interesting.
than it ultimately was.
Well, we'll talk about that.
And we also, they obviously, things happen later. And you were talking about how he knew. I'm like, well, maybe someone there had a phone. Also, at the end of Volume 7, he does that big green explosion.
Yeah.
So maybe they were like, where's Oscar?
You guys are
Blast
asking-
of green light.
You guys
there
are
he is.
asking how did they find him? I mean, okay.
That green light, that's how I'm
John,
guessing.
Ren, and like everyone scrolls. Do you guys remember in last volume? I watched last volume episode this morning, so I remember. But John gets a call from Pietro. So I'm assuming that Oscar had a scroll and just called Team RWBY.
Yeah.
Right? I think that makes logical
Or someone there
sense.
had a scroll.
Weiss's hair. I love that this is the first shot we get of Weiss because they
And
are
it's the
showing us,
blade.
we listened to you, we fixed it, shut the fuck up. That's what they're trying to say. You
It's
know
less
what I
chunky,
mean?
it's kind of
And
more
so I think
elegant.
it's really, really nice. And yeah, so Oscar's lamenting about, Ironwood, obviously. And
You
then
shot
we
me.
see sort of like the city, like people are burning things. We got a cat person or, just something with a tail
individual.
person, I'm not sure. But yeah, and so we like that. So yeah, we all did what we thought was best. And I'm glad you're all right. So I feel like that was interesting because Oscar looked more red before, but he actually got less red when he looked at RWBY. But you think that he would blush? I really think they're trying to make Rose Garden a thing. Yeah. Especially, do you remember that scene they had in Volume 7? And it was very...
It was very... But then again, that was also the volume where they made Clover act the way he did, and then at the same time, they're like, what, they're not dating? So I'm wondering if it's the same
I
kind
don't know.
of deal.
I feel like the Rose Garden thing is happening. That's just my impression for today. We'll talk about it more maybe another day. But yeah, I love how Joanna... I think her name's Joanna. I don't know if it's Joanne, but Joanna has like a much bigger role this time, and I think that like giving her a bigger role was a really good choice. Like she has much more lines. I really like how she's like stepped up and stuff, and so I really enjoy that. And like Maria's like, yeah, I see you. And
someone mentioned this. Rose Garden doesn't become canon because it's just weird, and Lord knows Rooster Teeth have had some issues as of late of older individuals.
I feel like though, I feel like they'll address that part, if that makes sense. That, like, RWBY will be like, but isn't Ozpin? Like, let's get rid of Ozpin. And then, I feel like that'll be the motion. I feel like that what'll happen is that, RWBY and Oscar will be together, but only once they save the world and Ozpin is laid to rest. That is how I see the ship.
Someone put Joanna Joestar, and I'm like, yes, the best JoJo.
And so, yeah, I love how they just, like, Maria's little, like, hobble.
Yeah.
And they shoot the droid. I thought that was cool. So we need to talk about this because we are so confused, guys. Okay, so we have May. That makes sense, right? We have May talking. They're in sort of this hideout. Pietro, Penny looking on the news. Yang seems to be talking to Blake, and I don't know, they seem to be nice conversation. Oh, well, actually, look at that.
Oh.
Yang and Blake are talking to each other, but look at Ren and Nora, they're separated. So that plays into our theory more, because we have this like big theory that there's gonna be a bumblebee kiss, okay, or something. Like Blake and Yang, they're gonna say goodbye, they're gonna be like bye, right, and like give each other a hug. But then Ren and Nora, like we've had two ideas, and like that Kaito Dan said maybe like Ren will like sort of step it up and realize that, I don't know how to explain this. Like, realize that it's time for him to tell Nora, like, how he feels before he goes sort of thing. But then I sort of said, well, what if, like, this kiss happens before they leave? And then Ren just looks at Nora and he just looks away, right? And stuff like that. And so that's what I'm thinking, is that Blake and Yang's relationship are sort of the opposite image of Renora. You see Blake and Yang are talking to each other, very in love, obviously, right? But then you have Ren and Nora who are separated. They're looking apart, right? Two friends sitting on a table 5 feet apart because they're not straight. Oh boy.
That's some good shit.
And so, yeah, I really think that is going to be like the representation, if that makes sense, right? Like, I feel like that's gonna be the motion, right? Is that Nora and Ren's relationship are, like, it's very strained, whereas Blake and Yang will be the parallel for, like, the good and then the bad. Does that make sense? Like, in terms of the relationships. Oh my god, they were roommates, but yeah. Yeah, I think if Ruby and Oscar fell for each other and then she watches him fully shift into Ozma and that creates, like, tension. Yeah, I could see something like that happening. I don't think it's nothing's gonna be a happy ending, guys. Not until the end of the show, right? And so then we see this. And so look at how happy Nora is. Like, Oscar's wincing. Like, did he think she was gonna hit him? Like,
maybe she hurts people. Maybe normally she crushes you.
Yeah,
so
but she gave him a gentle hug. I think that would.
She's learning not to shake the bag with the fish in it.
Right, and so I feel like that, that's really nice. She was just so worried. I feel like Oscar's the child and Juniper just shares custody. You know what I'm saying? They're all the polyamorous parents is how I sort of see it, right? And so now she gives him like a soft hug instead of like a squishing hug. Don't forget she tackled him in volume 6. Oh, I did forget. So yeah, that's a nice contrast. That's a nice comparison.
He's like,
right?
I'm just glad you're alive.
Really
I don't need to be weird about it.
It was a nice gentle hug. When we heard you were off after Ironwood on your own, and then they all look away. Blake's hair, they fixed her hair. We'll get more to it like later, but they listened. I'm so happy. But how did you end up in the slums? Okay, so yeah, they do call it the slums.
It's a long story, and it involves a nickel-plated pistol round in my sternum.
Yeah, and so they really didn't, they didn't get into that. I mean, I guess Oscar wouldn't want to say Ironwood shot me, but at the same time, I'm really surprised he didn't. But yeah, then you get the news report, which is basically like, once former heroes, now fugitives, right? And so, who's doing the news, right? Like, is the news government controlled? Because would they not sort of be like, how did these heroes suddenly turn into like, no one's asking how suddenly pennies, you know what I'm saying? And so I was like, is the news being controlled so they have to put out this message that these heroes are now fugitive? Or is somebody gonna write an opinion piece and be like, this is what, like, the hero, like, let them go, like, let the heroes of Mantle go and all that stuff, right? Like,
knowing how opinion editorials are now, it would probably be like, should we, consider what the giant evil whale has to say?
Do you understand what I mean? Like, is the news being controlled?
Or is
why do people just suddenly believe
Or
this?
is that just an emergency thing? And that's all
like,
that's
former
there
heroes have now turned into fugitives or something. Like, you can hear the newscaster.
Is that the news, or is that just like the emergency
thing?
I
don't know. It sounded like a news reporter voice. It didn't sound like fugitives, like, on the run. Like, you know how robot voice versus person voice, it sounded very, like, news reporter tone, if that makes sense. Like,
it's also very kind of them to put Team RWBY in alphabetical order.
Yeah.
RWBY.
And then Pietro and Maria, obviously. You're not going to tell them you and I aren't done talking yet. So it's really interesting because how do we know when Oscar is giving an idea versus when Ozpin is contributing an idea and Oscar is just saying it? I think that's something that we should really look out for this specific volume, if that makes sense. Is that
I think so far it has that, but he does change the way he speaks.
Sometimes, but he can also.
And like volume 5,
I don't mean that Ozpin is talking. I mean that Ozpin is talking in his head, and Oscar is spitting out the idea.
Yeah,
Does that make sense? Like, for example, there's this moment of silence here. You and I aren't done talking yet, and then Oscar asks, "Where's Crow?" But is that because Ozpin brought to his attention that Crow wasn't there, or is it because Oscar noticed Crow wasn't there? Right? You understand what I'm saying? And so, which parts are Oscar's feelings and which parts are Ozpin's feelings? Because again, even though Ozpin may not be saying it, Ozpin may have been like, hey, like, Oscar, like, look around, like, where's Crow? And then Oscar said, oh yeah, where is Crow? And he said that out loud. Do you guys know what I'm saying? Do you guys understand what I mean? I hope that makes sense. But yeah. And they don't know where Crow is. They fucking gave up, sis. And so it's interesting too because Yang is obviously like the one that is the most forlorn about it, right? Like, I mean, John and Ren are sad, but you can tell that Yang is more affected. And obviously, like, Yang, that's her uncle, you know? And so, right, like, it's different for her, I think.
Oh, certainly.
So, yeah. I don't know. But yeah, I think that like matters a lot. Like, look at RWBY and Yang and then versus the rest of the team. You can see in their facial expressions how they are more impacted. Yeah. And so the last time we heard he was with Robin, and then like the Happy Huntresses seem to be operating, you know,
a bar. And so we
like,
talked
no, not a bar. They seem to be operating without her. They don't seem worried about her. Okay, guys, do you guys see this? What is going on with this picture? Who are these people? Because I'm looking at this and I'm like, this kind of looks like Robin's face. Like, could that be Robin or like her sister or something? Like, who are you two? Parents? Robin's gay moms?
Former owner of the bar. There's also
Who are they?
There's also another photo of a person when they do a reverse shot of this, you see. I have no idea. Like, I had the idea of, like, what if that is, like, Sienna Khan's...
Some people said, like, this could be White Fang people or something.
Yeah, and so one of them is maybe, like, a Khan or related to Sienna Khan.
So, okay. Yeah, like,
But they don't
people
much
are
look
saying
like
the
Sienna
owners
Khan.
of the bar. Well, here's what I'm thinking. I'm looking at them and I'm just like, these two gay women own the bar, right? I think, regardless of what they are, I think they're gay. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. Yeah. They're probably dead. Yes, that is true. They're probably dead. But no matter who they are, I feel like there was so much gay content in this episode if you really looked for it. Like, these two are definitely gay. And then we'll talk about the other two gay people
What's
later.
that on her shirt, though? It's almost like there's a white thing.
It could... that could be what this is, right? This little...
but
it does look like it's on her picture.
So I'm trying to think of green
Two
and
women
white.
together, they're definitely gay. You guys don't understand.
What if that's... You know who she kind of
owner.
looks like? Kind of looks like Clover. Like
who?
The girl with the ears. Same kind of colored hair. Not face, but same colored hair.
I don't think she looks like Clover.
There's a green shirt and then there's white on it, and then the other girl kind of more looks like Robin. And people talk. You had an old theory of like Volume 7 of like Robin and
Clover being like related somehow.
So what if
in-laws? You're saying?
Yeah. What if?
I don't think she looks like Clover. Her hair is red and Clover's was kind of brown, wasn't it?
It was like a reddish brownish tint. I don't know. Listen, we're grasping at straws here.
I don't know, but they're definitely gay. I don't know who they are, but they're gay. And so, yeah. And so, you know, Joanna's just sort of explaining, like, you guys have to help us and all that stuff. And so they have the idea of putting them in the crater, which is a terrible Mountain Glen type idea, but really they have no other options,
Mountain Glen again, was terrifying.
Agreed that the other... Oh my god, that's the bar Cinder was cleaning at the start of the episode?
Oh,
Can we
what
see
if she's the pirate?
What? Oh my god,
Is it wood paneled?
Yeah, let's see the floor, guys. Is it wood? Hold on.
Oh no.
Hold on, guys.
Please tell me.
No, it's not.
Tiled.
It's tile
Checkered
floor.
tile.
They could have changed the... But I understand people are like, oh my god, it's Cinder's mom. Maybe. I don't know. But yeah, the floor is tile, guys.
Yeah.
Sorry to kill your theory. I think we're...
I mean, presumably they could have. Who knows? Maybe
they
also
could have
made
redecorated.
They made her rip it up and put down the laminate.
Oh,
Who knows?
God. Oh, to be a lesbian pirate. I love you guys so much. Anyway, but yeah, I understand Joanna's reasoning. If everyone's in one spot with heat, that's better than everyone dying separately out in the cold. They don't have great options. At first, I was like, you guys are so stupid. Atlas is gonna fall on you. But really, it's either die in the cold in the city or take your chances. Either way, everyone's gonna die. So this is their best chance, in my opinion.
Butch women more than I trust anyone.
Yep.
I would follow.
I think Joanna's plan makes sense. I understand why we as the audience are like, no, why would you do that? But like, as the characters, it's freezing to death versus just trying to stay in the crater and unsurviving. But either way would mean certain death, I guess. What heat are they referring to? I'm guessing the crater is like the mines.
No, the more you go under,
stuff.
like mines are really warm. The more you go underground, your body heat just heats everything up.
And if everyone is together, they can also make a big fire and heat everyone in the same area.
And also,
too,
it's like,
right?
I don't know if it affects, but like the deeper you are,
in the mind.
closer you are to the mantle and the warmer parts of the earth.
Yeah, like the center of the earth, if you will.
But not quite there, but like in the
I
crust.
know.
But I think it has to mostly do just
geothermal deposit.
Okay.
Thank you.
So that is part of it. I'm not.
But
just
yeah,
a goof.
so they're gonna get everyone
okay, no, go back
before
to that.
nightfall.
Because I remember there was a reverse shot where in the background, the scene where you see everyone else sitting down, where you see
not
a
yet.
photo
Hold
of
on.
someone. Yeah.
Either you're helping or you're baggage. I like that Joanna said that to Weiss because
Yeah.
Joanna's probably a little hesitant. Like, oh, obviously the heiress is worried about sleeping, right?
Yeah.
Like Weiss Schnee, sort of the rich versus the poor. Like, I really like that
Wait, Weiss
dynamic
makes a
there.
comment about sleeping?
Yeah, like Weiss says, we're never going to sleep again. I just know it, right? And so it's either you're helping or you're baggage. So I really
These
like that.
aren't tattoos. These are just bags under my eyes.
Oh my god. But I really like that Weiss had that line because, again, you see the divide between the Schnees and how people perceive the Schnees, right? I feel like that's very important. And then Joanna being like, listen, you spoiled brat, you're either helping or you're baggage, right? And so I feel like
someone
that
said
makes
Weiss
sense.
Schleep. Someone also mentioned a Rumpelstiltskin poster on the wall, and I'm not sure
Rumpelstiltskin?
poster. That's the vodka poster.
Maybe somewhere else? I don't know.
Maybe that you saw the reverse shot?
I don't know.
I don't know.
We'll keep looking.
I definitely
That
there being a reverse
7
shot.
bottle vodka thing, that was on Weiss's mom's bottle. Like this
Yes.
7 swan thing back here. It would be interesting if there was Rumpelstiltskin stuff, just because there's a character based on Rumpelstiltskin already in the RWBY books. This is one of the shots, Hunter. Do you see what you were looking for? I think it was in a different
It was on
scene.
the opposite side of the room.
So yeah, we see these girls.
It's so distracting.
I know, it's like, who are you?
It's like I don't
Who
even know
are
what they were
they?
talking
I don't
about
know.
because I'm too focused on like these
My
mystery
theory is the
women
girls in the
background.
photos are happy huntresses that are dead. Yes,
Oh,
I agree.
that's
I
another
think
one,
that
yeah.
that is. I think that is it.
Maybe that could have
Yeah.
been like her sister then.
Yeah, I think that these are like the happy huntresses like of memory, I guess. And so Yang's basically saying that they need to do what they can for Mantle, and RWBY sort of, and I love these contrasting shots to see them talking and then seeing everyone join up as they say who they are joining. I really appreciated
It
the
reminds
direction
me a
in that.
lot.
I really
It
liked
reminds
it.
me a lot of like how they edit heists.
Yeah.
Or heist scenes.
Just ignore the giant poster of the lesbians. Nothing to see here. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was so distracting. Oh boy.
So I really love it.
Yeah.
Gives that sense of build up and anticipation like a heist movie. I really enjoy that.
And so I really like that. And so you have sort of like everyone's points. I really like how, okay, so here's the other 2 gay people, I'm pretty sure. Thank you. This butch, androgynous character, and then their girlfriend, and then this guy, like,
Who's
they're
just there,
dead,
third
probably, considering this is a crumpled photo on
I
the
wonder
ground.
if we'll see
They're
them
probably
again.
dead,
Will we see their
but, like,
bodies later?
I really, I don't know. Because it's weird, like, why include this? But I
Yeah.
think it's to include...
But it's also like, why include that other photo?
who was lost, you know what I mean? Like, the people in the city who live here who need their help. It's sort of representative.
Yeah.
Like, they were living lives before this happened.
That's why
you know?
Yang is helping save people in Mantle.
Yeah.
To save people like that.
To save people like that. Exactly. So, yeah. I really... Look at this guy's hair, too!
It
And
has
so
a fade.
I love him.
It's
And
nice.
so, like, they gave him a black hairstyle.
And they did it well. Like,
right?
they
And
did
it
the
looks really
fade
nice. I know this is like a 2D drawing, I guess, versus a character model, but I love that they, like, listen to us. I'm not saying us as in, like, me and Hunter, by the way. I'm saying us as in the community, but that is something that, like, we have really pushed and talked about, like, give the characters that are black hairstyles, guys, right? Instead of just keeping their hair cropped because you guys don't want to, you know, put in the effort, right? And I understand it's difficult, but I think that they really did a good job with that hairstyle. And so, yes. Someone please see my comment. I'm calling it now. Penny is going to be hacked. We did talk about that in our intro analysis, and I will try to post the intro reaction later if they have posted the intro on, like, Twitter and YouTube and whatever, and all that sort of stuff. So I really like...
I love how the smash cut is so jarring.
And so I really like, you know, them asking about Amity, and
Wait, cut back?
Did you see it?
Yes, who's that person there?
All the way back there?
Yes.
I don't know. They look sort of more military. Like, they have a more sort of, like...
That was the person,
outfit.
yes.
Maybe we'll get a closer look at them later.
Yes.
We'll try to look out for it.
God, distracted by photos. I feel like I have
exactly,
ADD
right.
in this goddamn thing.
Cal, it's been posted on Twitter. Yeah, I heard it's posted on Twitter. I I should wait until it's
is
up on
that
YouTube.
Rumpelstiltskin?
Oh yeah, that's what you guys are talking
Maybe
about.
you
It
see
does
more
say
of it.
Skiltskin. That's interesting.
Maybe it's
I'm
like Stiltskin liquor?
is that connected to Rumple? Like, is that connected to Rumple from the book and all that stuff? So yeah, I wonder if I should put, like, if they posted it on Twitter, I don't know. Maybe I'll just post it today. They posted it on Twitter. I feel like that it's fair game. Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. I don't know why they didn't post the intro today.
Yeah, it's like Stiltskin whiskey? Whiskey.
Yeah, that's interesting.
You'll be so fucked up you won't remember
Imagine
my
that's just
name
Rumple's,
or your name.
Rumple's back. What if one of those girls is Rumple?
Oh.
Because we don't know what Rumple looks like. She's in the book. We never really get a giant physical description of her.
Okay.
Like, what if this is her bar? Like, what if she, you know, it
but that's
could be
a brand,
weird,
not a bar.
I know, but, like, it could be a weird little, like, connection-y thingy. Anyway, Pietro's just explaining how, you know, the clearance and all that stuff. I feel like we don't need to talk about that part very much.
Yeah, there he is, and again in the background. It's almost like... What's that? It almost looks like there's a symbol behind him.
Oh my god, guys,
it's
the White Fang! The White Fang's coming!
What if I was right? What if those are Sienna Khan?
Oh boy. I don't think it's gonna be Sienna Khan though, Hunter.
Or like not Sienna Khan,
like
but someone
White
maybe
Fang
tangentially related to her.
Maybe. You
like
know what
Sienna
I mean?
Khan's ex.
This could be the White Fang branch, possibly. Yeah.
Maybe it's just like you're Sienna Khan's sister?
Ex-wife.
Like,
I just don't think that Sienna, like, I don't think that they're gonna make a character related to Sienna, because not everyone in the White Fang that was leading was related. Like, Sienna wasn't related to Gira and Callie and all that stuff, right? And so when you think about it, like, I feel like that this will just be the Atlas branch. Like, Adam was sent to the Veil branch, right? And so, like, whoever, this could be, like, the Atlas branch of the White Fang. I think there's some White Fang stuff going on for sure. There's no way Ironwood would cooperate with us, but he doesn't have to, right? And so I really like this. And so there's another terminal that is not
I like how
in
she
the
has her hood up again.
Yeah.
I'm all for hood up RWBY.
So I'm guessing that this is the compound.
Yes.
Right? This giant circle at the bottom is the compound.
Are
So
we gonna get a scene where they climb those ropes like Alita Battle
That
Angel?
would be so much fun, but I'm pretty sure they'll just fly up on Weiss's thing, Hunter. Right? But, you know, good try. But maybe
Well,
not.
she says, I know a way, and I'm like, what's your way, Weiss?
Yeah, and so that's
me.
gonna be fun. And so then I get inside the operations room. Yeah, so this is just Pietro explaining how this plan is gonna work. I don't think that I don't think that the explanation of Pietro is necessary, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like, but the more important part of this scene is the divide between RWBY's way of thinking and Yang's way of thinking. Because Yang is very pessimistic in this episode. She is very, like, RWBY is the optimistic one, but at the same time, I didn't think that Yang would be so much like this, I guess, especially when in the OP, she's very happy, so you sort of wonder, like, that's kind of weird. But when you're sort of looking at this, right, it's very interesting to see, like, her say that it's pointless and all that stuff, and so RWBY's, like, arguing it's not.
It's never pointless.
Yeah. And so we've heard this dialogue before in the trailer. And reinforcements, let's talk about that for a brief minute. Team Coffee, I hope
we're putting it out there.
They will get notified of what's going on, and they will.
I
really doubt they'll show up though.
What if when they're breaking into Atlas, they show up and they're like they save the day when they're in a pinch of trouble?
But I definitely think like Raven and Ty, this is getting so much stronger for the Raven.
Raven Watch 2020.
I feel like, but it's not about being realistic though, guys, because it's possible to put it out. You know what I'm saying? And so like it's
just so
possible
that people
to put
know
out
what's
the message,
coming.
just so they know what's going on. Like
giant fucking
Hunter
whale
and
is gonna kill us
sided
all.
with RWBY in this scene because why not at least try? They can do both. So why wouldn't you at least make the attempt?
we side with
Jean
and Oscar because they were like they can do the same things.
But I'm just saying in terms of like Yang's attitude that RWBY hasn't been being a good leader, I don't think that that's necessarily true. That's what I disagree with in this scene. I think that Yang says that it's pointless. I don't think it's pointless. Like I think that, you know, to at least try, right? And so, yeah, maybe this is like showing the Raven versus Summer conflict you guys are saying. Like some people are saying like Yang is sounding a lot like Raven. Like this could be like, you know, more of Raven's attitude coming out of Yang. Because Tai Yang said that she's a lot like her mother, right? And then Ruby's a lot like her mother, so, right? All that sort of stuff. And so Yang wants to be the leader. Yeah, but yeah, look at this. Like, Weiss just puts her, like, hand over her mouth. Like, everyone's so shocked.
Everyone's like, all right.
That, like, Yang would say that to her own... Look at Oscar. I feel like Oscar's sort of looking away because he feels guilty. Because he knows that some of the choices that RWBY has made have been in conjunction with his advice. Both of them saying, we should tell Ironwood. Stuff like that. Like, they have, you know, I feel like Oscar, I feel like he feels guilty. And that's why he's sort of looking away. Because he knows that maybe there's some truth in what Yang is saying, but it's also his fault for why RWBY has changed her mind about things, for why RWBY has done certain things, because it's also been under his influence, and Oscar already feels like he's been making the wrong choices, right? Oscar already feels like him talking to Ironwood was pointless, and that was a bad choice, so why wasn't, like, everything else, was that not also, right? So, that's what I'm sort of thinking about that. But yeah, I really like how Jean sort of steps in to say that they, you know, like, they can be unified, but chase after different goals. And I feel like that's so important, right? And so there are people that need us right now. And so you see how Ren starts joining with Yang. And so here's something that we talked about in, if you guys haven't watched this, you guys should. We did a RWBY YouTuber panel, like akin to what we would usually do if we were all together at RTX. And I don't remember who said it, but somebody pointed out that Ren has always been, like, small picture, while Nora has always been big picture. So for Ren, right, like, Atlas, I guess, was sort of like the small picture, protecting Atlas, focused on Atlas. But Nora was the big picture of both Mantle and Atlas. But now the situation has changed, so Ren is thinking about Mantle, right? And so, like, we talked about that, and it's like, why would Nora change her attitude and not care about the people about Mantle anymore? Like, that seems very weird. But I think that, you know, the argument, I think it was Phoenix and I think it was Blizzak. I think that they both said it. And I think they were so right, because I think Phoenix said that it's not about helping Mantle, it's just the differences in Ren and Nora's natural ideology, that Ren is someone who, you know, his father told him the worst thing to do is, like, not acting at all. So he wants to act in the immediate problem. Whereas Nora is the big picture person. She is now thinking of the big picture, and the big picture is getting the communication tower up, because that will help Mantle as well if they can pull it off, if they can get them some help. And so I feel like that was a really interesting point that they made in that video, that Ren is sort of small picture, immediate picture, while Nora is bigger picture. And so this scene does not contradict how Nora and Ren felt last volume. It's actually very in line with how they were feeling originally, right? It's just that Ren has abandoned Atlas now, right, for the immediate issue, which is helping Mantle. And I'm sure that he also probably would have expected Nora to say the same thing, because Nora's like, aren't you coming? Right? Like, she has that sort of thought, if that makes sense. And so, yeah, like, it's sort of interesting. It's sort of interesting when you think about that way, I guess. I'm just gonna check the chat for a little bit. Jean stepping in might be because he has a sister, so he knows how bad these arguments can go. I think that that's actually really interesting. I think that's a really good point.
Yeah, I could see that.
I think that's so true. Yeah, and so Robin was a vigilante. Okay, the chat is bad right now. But yeah, so I feel like that is, again, like, the difference between, like, Ren and Nora. And Ren is doing immediately what he can, whereas Nora is sort of, you know, like, doing, like, the big picture stuff, like she has always sort of wanted, I guess. But yeah. And I'm so upset we didn't get proper team goodbyes. I'm sort of wondering, though, if it'll bounce back to the proper goodbyes, though, because it is showing everyone is together, but, like, I really wanted that Bumblebee kiss, you know, before they left. So I wonder if they'll bounce back to leaving next episode, because they are switching between the past and the future, right? And then this isn't just about Atlas, right? And so RWBY's right, it's about all of Remnant. They need to know in Vacuo. Who needs to know? Team Coffee. Okay? Team Coffee and Theodore and Rumpel. So I feel like they are definitely setting it up. Let's go. Let's go, sis. Guys, I'm so excited. Let's go. Oh my god, I'm so happy. But yeah, and so Okay, she says in Vale and Mistral, but she says Vacuo first, okay? But yeah, and so it makes sense. And so, yeah, I love how Jean steps in. I love how Jean steps in and how he, I don't know how to explain it, how he is able to logically say that both goals are worth pursuing, but RWBY is worried, like, that's how Salem got this far, by dividing us, but they aren't divided. They are unified in their cause together. They're just splitting up in order to do it, right? And so it's not divided like they're fighting over what to do, but rather it is, you know, we'll work separately but united. I think that this scenario was very much handled really, really well. I think that was really, really good. I bet the final end credits is Coffee getting the message. Yeah, that's what Hunter and I said in our video that we made yesterday, or that we posted yesterday. That was our, like, post-credit scene theory. For sure. And then Penny, you sort of see, because there's two options, right? There's RWBY's plan, and then there's Yang's plan, but then Penny is divided from everyone else because there's a third plan.
Can I talk about the worst option?
Sure.
And then Penny continues to
I thought you were going to say something, Hunter, because I need a drink.
Penny's definitely is the worst option, and you can see that. I don't know precisely what it is. I don't know, maybe it's that she feels like she betrayed Winter, someone whom she cares about greatly. Maybe she even, like, loves.
Chat is asking, someone's asking what the staff can do. Guys, we already know what the staff can do. The staff is holding up Atlas.
Yes.
It's the staff of creation. We already know. But yeah. And so, yeah, this is the third option, right? And so maybe she'll call off the attack on the kingdom, which Salem did say. She did say that she would, right? She said that in volume... Oh my god. Did you guys hear that? She said that in volume 7. Somebody's clanking around up there, glasses and stuff. I don't think that we can actually trust Salem to do that. And so, you know, it's interesting too, because it's like, I don't know how to explain this, but is this Ozpin or is this Oscar? Because Oscar is saying, I don't think we can trust Salem to actually do that, but, like, wouldn't Ozpin know? Wouldn't Ozpin know that we can't trust Salem?
I don't think that's Ozpin. I think that is Oscar.
I think that is Oscar. I do agree, just based on how he phrased it, but is Ozpin not in his head like, you
don't
fucking idiot, don't fucking do it!
Terrible idea!
Right? And so that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that he's like, I don't think we can trust Salem, but in his head, Ozpin must be like, yeah, you know fucking shit, you can't, right? So I feel like that's really funny. And the moment she uses the staff to create anything else, Atlas falls onto Mantle. An interesting question would be, what would Salem create? Could you use the
What
staff?
do you buy for a woman who already has a battle whale?
What? Oh, I just thought of something. Could you create something to destroy the gods?
Oh.
With the Staff of Creation. Could she ask the Staff of Creation make something that would destroy the gods?
That's
right?
pretty recursive.
Because that would be like the gods must have put a safety mechanism in if somebody were to try something like that, right? But if they were given by the gods, they must have a significant amount of power, but could they have enough to destroy the gods themselves?
That's really fucked up. Because, like, they're of the gods' power, so presumably if there was anything that would be able to defeat it, it is something that they created.
Because, like, with Jin, you ask her a question and she gives the answer, right? With Jin, you say, you know, please tell me about this, and Jin shows it to you, right? You don't necessarily need to specify every single detail. Like RWBY did not have to say, like, you know, like, show me Ozpin's sex life, right? It showed what is Ozpin hiding, and it gave her everything in that category. And so could it be possible that you don't necessarily need to specify to the Staff of Creation what it is to make? You just tell it what you want to do. So you would say, you know, I want something to hold up Atlas, and the staff is like, I got you, I can do that, right? Whatever. But could that be possible? Could she create something to destroy the gods, or could she create something to even surpass the gods, right? So that's something to think about. You'd think that there would be some sort of safety mechanism in place, but I don't think that the gods are that smart, to be honest. Those gods have a weakness, and Salem will explore it. Exactly. She will exploit whatever weakness that she can find, right? And so, yeah, that's the one thing they can all agree on, is not turning in Penny. And so I really like that, and I feel like that's foreshadowing for later, where they get desperate and Yang just throws Penny under the bus. I feel like it's gonna be Yang too, because Yang said that. Yang was like, we're not, like, taking you away, that's the one thing we can all agree on, or whatever, right? Like, I feel like that means that Yang is gonna be the first one to be like, at this point, why not just give up Penny? Right? I feel like that's definitely a possibility, right? And so, yeah. And so Penny can bypass the security. And so Pietro is worried about his daughter, but Penny's like, sis, I'm all grown up. Like, you know, and so I really like that scene for showcasing that it's like, we've talked about this in the fairy tale video, but there's a thing in fairy tales where when a character comes into contact with a magical entity, right? Let's just say, you know, like a fairy godmother or a wolf or something like that, that the, you know, child in the story transitions from a child into like a young woman or a young man, depending on the story. With Little Red Riding Hood, it's very sexual. Like she has a sexual experience with the wolf, and that makes her an adult and stuff like that.
We've read different versions of that story.
Well, you would have to read
the
one that I took in the fairy tale class. Like, she gets in bed naked with the wolf. And, like, in stuff like Into the Woods, that's a very big thing. Is like, I know things now. And that she talks about what she knows from, like, the wolf and stuff like that. And obviously what she knows is very, like, sexual undertones and stuff like that. So with Penny, what I'm sort of saying is that she had the encounter with Freya, and now she is growing up, right? Yeah. It's like how in Cinderella, like, Cinderella is sort of like, not a child, but she's like, you know, a young maiden, but then she sort of has an encounter with the magical creature, that being the fairy godmother, and then the fairy godmother makes her into a woman, and she marries the prince, right? You have to sort of think about it that way, because these fairy tales are very old, and there wasn't really a concept of, like, childhood back then, right? That's you true. Were a child, and then as soon as you could carry a bag of flour or whatever, you were an adult. So if you could work on the farm, you were adult enough, right? And so when we talk about fairy tales, I feel like that you guys are so surprised. Look it up, okay? It's true. Little Red Riding Hood used to be taught to people, especially
that
young
red
girls,
hood represents
as a
the
metaphor.
hymen.
And so if you look at Charles Perrault or something, I don't know how to say his name exactly, but you guys can look it up. If you look up Charles Perrault, he specifically has morals at the end of all his fairy tales, and he says that, you know, a young girl may be like Little Red Riding Hood, and then men are like the wolves with their silver tongues trying to get young girls into bed with them. Beware the wolves. That is Charles Perrault's message in the story. So if you guys look it up, that's what these stories were originally used for. They were used as teaching tools for stuff like that. But again, it's not always sexual. You have Cinderella, the fairy godmother. You have Jack and the Beanstalk, like interacting with the giant made him bring back all this money and was able to sort of give prosperity to his family. And like back in the day, that was the job of a man, right? And so what I'm saying with Penny specifically, yeah, what are you trying to say? Get to the point, Cal. Yeah, so what I'm trying to say with Penny is that she is not Pietro's little girl anymore. She is not necessarily like that naive little girl that we saw in Volume 3. She had the interaction with the magical person, that being Freya, almost her own fairy godmother, and that magical interaction has transformed her from like a child or a childlike state of mind in the case of Penny, because we know she's not biologically, you know what I mean? So it's transitioned her from a child and having the mind of a child into an adult, and she is sort of rebelling against Pietro because she is sort of standing her ground that she's not this fragile, you know, girl that needs to be kept in a box anymore, or, you know, stuff like that, that she is now an adult and she is now a maiden. And also we can talk about how maidenhood is also a big thing in fairy tales, like, you know what I mean, like
maiden
in terms of like
a virgin.
Yeah, and so it's sort of like one of those things where Penny's now an adult, she's now a maiden, like when you think about it, sort of that. I don't know, it's sort of hard to explain.
Maiden in its colloquial term means a woman who is virginal.
And so, like, she's grown up now, right?
So, but to become a maiden doesn't mean it would
I know
like,
that. I mean, like, in terms of, like, the fairy tale
what I think
like,
this is
you become a lady, if that makes sense. Like, you know, I don't know. You get your period, you become a woman. You get the maiden powers, you become a woman. That's sort of what I think that,
what I think this is more, what I think this is more about is less about her becoming a woman, more her learning that she does not need to have her life dictated by Ironwood.
But it's
before
also,
you see that where she's just like,
I don't mean becoming a woman in like a sexuality sense, I guess. What you mean. I mean in like terms of leaving the naivete of childhood behind. Like that is what fairy tales are about. It's leaving that childhood state and becoming into an adult state. Like, RWBY is grown up. It's sort of the exact same thing. It's like Penny is now growing up as well.
And I think that growing up is her learning that she can't just fall back to her pre-assumptions that Ironwood good, trust him, everyone else bad. She needs to start to think for herself now.
Yeah, and so
I think
feel
she's
like
having,
that's it.
I think that'll be her development, is that she's kind of pushed into this situation where, like everything she knows and everyone whom she thought she could trust were ostensibly destroyed and her enemies now.
Chat is saying like, what is chat saying?
Pretty horrified on your...
Chat was saying...
Ew adults.
Ew adults, yeah, that's what I was looking for, but yeah. And so, that's basically the idea, that Penny's now an adult, she will not be, like, ordered around by Ironwood. That is sort of, like, what I'm seeing out of this conversation. And she won't even be, you know, controlled by Pietro. Like, Pietro's her father, when you think about it, right? She's in that stage where she is rebelling and, like, what do you say? Like, individuality.
Yeah.
Like, she's...
Becoming her own person.
She's putting her foot down and, like, advocating for her own autonomy, if you want to call it that.
Yes, absolutely.
I think that that's it. But yeah. And so then we get this, right? She's saying that she'll go, and then Yang just sighs. Do what you gotta do. I'm gonna see what we can do out there. So then you see Blake is very sad because I feel like Blake's in the middle. I feel like to some extent Blake agrees with Yang, but we ultimately know that Blake ends up going with Nora and stuff. But we don't really... Do they say why? Because I think they give everyone else an explanation,
I don't think this was meant to be as dramatic as I think some people are interpreting it. Because I think at this point it was already decided that everyone's a group together, that because they're split up, they're still working to the same goal. That does not mean they're divided. And I think that was... I think that Blake's there shows a little concern, but the fact that Pietro threw the keys, like, here, we're still helping each other, we're still a team.
It's sort of interesting, though, like, is Blake just the leftover, and so she went with Team RWBY, because they are at odd numbers, right? Because Team RWBY, like, RWBY's side has 5, and then they have 4, and so
unless they find the lesbians that own the bar in the basement of the bar.
Blake could have gone either way, and so I wonder why, because Nora says, because Nora, like, I'm going with RWBY, and Ren, you know, actually seems surprised in this scene. You can't see his face right now, but he says, oh, I'm saving Mantle because I actually believe we can do this. And it's almost like they're looking at each other, but they're not, because we know that this scene takes place in a different area. And so I think, again, there's sort of that idea that Ren was like, what about Mantle? I thought you wanted to help Mantle. And Nora's like, no, it's not about helping Mantle. This will help Mantle, but everyone as well. And so it's, again, big picture versus small picture. But Ren doesn't understand that about Nora yet. He thought it was just about Mantle, but it's not just about Mantle, right? It's like, I don't know. It's a weird thing to say, but have you ever heard, like, there was this article published, and it was like, my wife left me, but it wasn't about the dishes, right? And so it was basically this article from this guy that, like, his wife, like, divorced him after the dirty dishes were in the sink again, but it wasn't about the dishes. It was that he, you know, continued to do it and, like, wasn't contributing to the household, and the dishes in the sink dirty were representative of a bunch of things, and that finally made his wife, like, decide to leave him, and it contributed to that. And so it's a very, like, popular, like, relationship article to sort of, like, illustrate how it's not that one little thing you thought made someone snap. It is, like, what it represents in the collection of things. And so let's see what you guys are saying. Blake and Yang work really well together in Volume 7. Yeah, so that's interesting too, because Marrow's the one who suggested they split up, right? So that's a little interesting.
And when have we ever taken him to?
But yeah, because I actually believe we can do this. And so I really like that. Hey, we're still united, and then they say, I hope so. So it's weird that we don't get a reason for Blake, and so I wonder if they could flash back to that Bumblebee kiss, but I think that they've already left each other, and I'm a little sad that there was no kissing. Then we say that Weiss has an idea, and so she has an idea for getting them all up, and so I feel like that's either going to be Schnee related in terms of getting some equipment from Mantle that was used, because the dust mines are down here, right? And, like, all the Schnee, like, we saw Schnee trucks in the street and all that. Like, it's possible that that could be it, or they're just gonna fly on the Grim.
What if there's something, like, really, because the fact that they don't show it implies to me that it's something weird. Like, what if it's jetpacks? Or they have to scale those wires.
I think scaling the wires, that would be great. But yeah, imagine, like, Mom, can you come pick me up, Weiss? I love that. I think that's a great idea, actually. Like,
that could be really interesting.
I really like it. Then we got devices chimes.
It's a really fun... Oh, this was creepy as hell.
Yeah, so this was unfortunate. And so Ironwood's calling. Penny, I'm really worried about your safety. Tell me where you are.
I don't know. You're starting to shoot people on random, so... I don't know if I'm safe around you anymore, Dad.
Oh my god, guys. I don't know why I'm so, like, out of, like, breath, I guess. If
that makes sense. Probably
dehydrated, I mean. But yeah, I'll have you picked up right away, and then Atlas needs you, Penny. Salem is here. And then Ruby's like, she's not going anywhere until you change your mind about Mantle. And so he's like,
I also wonder
Mantle,
if
you're still worried about Mantle and all that sort of stuff.
This is an example of, like, Ruby's kind of speaking for Penny right now.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if
Penny
will like, not like that, or if she agrees with them.
I don't think she'll like that. I think that, you know, she does hug Ruby after.
Yes.
So I feel like it's also like being able to speak when she hasn't necessarily found her voice against Ironwood yet, and she will find her voice against Ironwood later. I don't think that Ruby's necessarily speaking for her. They do hug after, so I feel like it's just that Penny doesn't know how to speak for herself yet. Not really. And so Ruby is assisting her with that. That's how I sort of see it. But yeah. And so, you know, we got that. Everything that follows will be on your hands. So that seems to really, that disturbs Penny, but Penny hugs Ruby. So I feel like she's not mad at Ruby for not letting her speak. She is allowing Ruby to speak for her because she will make the wrong decision if she is manipulated and guilted by Ironwood.
Or she understands that she's susceptible to Ironwood.
Yeah, exactly.
And that Ruby is not. Also, I feel like if people made a Rose Garden thing about that earlier interaction and people are making the nuts and bolts thing, I think that's more likely.
Bring it on, guys.
I imagine Ruby and Penny being in a sort of like asexual marriage.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the ship, and there is evidence like from Volume 3, of course, and like previous, like Volumes 1 to 3, I think.
Which is weird because before that I remember not being crazy about it, but now I'm like,
nuts and gold shippers have been fed. Yeah, I totally agree. Then we have
sad wolf boy.
Marrow is sad. Vine is just.
He always looks like that.
I don't know.
He's pointy. He looks pointy.
Elm looks like disturbed by Vine's expression because she's looking at him.
She looks more annoyed, but okay, now she looks like she's just kind of like trying to keep her calm.
And then Hair's obviously angry.
I also love how when you get that shot, if you cut back for a moment, it's like in there you see how much more slouched over Marrow is compared to the rest of them. Yeah, he's dead. You know what's hilarious about him?
What?
Even when he's a corpse, nothing can stop that hairdo.
Oh boy, Hunter. That's so bad. Anyway, yeah.
He's gone. He's
listen. People love no body, no death, okay? People love that, especially in RWBY. They die by that. They would die for no body, no death, okay? The body, right? And I don't think that the Relic of Creation can resurrect people, at least not without bad consequences, right? And I already made a theory on that, so, like, I don't think, that's all I'm trying to say, is that I'm not saying the Relic can't do it, because I think the Relic could, but, like, a monkey's paw, Full Metal Alchemist, terrible outcome, 0 out of 10, would not try to do again, like, some sort of consequence for trying to bring someone back to life. But, like, he's dead, sis. He's dead. As of right now,
a Princess Bride Magic Max thing. That man is not mostly dead. He is dead.
He's pretty dead.
I also like how the bandage, like, you understand that the man had a giant open chest wound.
And so I guess they just covered it up so he'd have, respect of life. And so we were right about Ironwood looking back at that from the other room with Winter.
I like how it's black. I like the Iron Fist. He rules with an Iron Fist now.
So, like, a lot of people were like, okay, but why would Ironwood cut off his arm? And I think it's just, like, we talked about this, and I think it's just because his arm could heal in a couple days, but they don't have days. They have hours. They only have 2 days. Like, maybe his arm could heal in a week, right? And all that sort of stuff. But I think that he cut it off because he recognized that, like, Ironwood's very impulsive. He's like, if this isn't useful to me right now at this moment, cut it off. We can't wait for it to heal. There may not be a next week it to heal.
In a way,
right?
He's a lot like Cinder.
It really fits with his character. Yeah, I think so. Like,
they're
arm
quite
parallel.
similar when you really think about them. Yeah. Both of them have lost. Both of them. Maybe that could be like a metaphor. He has a corroded black arm, just like Cinder does.
And he's leaving behind his humanity. I think the chat is definitely right now.
Yeah.
Somebody said, like, that's how. You know what I mean? Like, that's how he's doing it, I guess. That, like, he's just losing parts of himself. But, yeah, I think it's just like, oh, my arm can't heal in the next 14 minutes. Chop. Like, that's Ironwood's whole personality is sort of what can you do in the moment, right? And then we sort of have this. And then we have footsteps footsteps approaching. Hello? Okay. Yeah, and
Yeah.
so
The girl
when
who
this
kinda
girl
looked
happened, I
like
was like, Neo,
Neo?
because she
Exactly.
did disguise
I
as
never-
that girl, all right? But yeah, Crow and Robin. So the prisoners have gotten here.
I like her like a robot arm. She seems to have kept that.
It's not a
Can you see
robot
that?
arm.
It's like
It's
armor.
like armor, and I really like
But
that.
I like that it was injured, so she almost gave herself like a robot armor side.
Yeah.
Like, sleeve tattoo. I don't know what to call
I
it.
really like it, and you see her full outfit in the OP.
Wait, before that, what was she doing with the other one was doing with her hand?
They're just checking her, I
Okay,
think.
I
They're
see.
just like, stuff. Medical things. Medical
Do you
things,
know
I'm
that
sure.
if you're...
I like
So-
Winter's hair a lot.
Yeah, I like the new hair. The bruise, I wonder if they're keeping the bruise.
I think that'll probably heal. I mean, maybe the scar won't.
I kind
but-
of wanted, like, hair down Winter.
Yeah, I really
You
like
feel
this,
me?
though. It's a compromise. It's like
guess
half
it is a
hair down,
compromise.
half not, if that makes sense. So I feel like that's probably fine.
Mm-hmm.
No one has ever seen a Grim Force this large before. We know that.
Or certainly not have seen it and lived to tell
Yeah,
it.
live to tell the tale.
Which
right?
is even more frightening.
And so,
Uh-oh, Chad James shows up.
yeah. So this is unfortunate.
And you called it first. When we were watching this, you were like, oh,
you guys
God.
should have seen our reaction. I was
Gonna
like,
kill
oh,
him.
Ironwood's gonna shoot him. That's
And I was like, Ironwood's he's like, he's gonna do something. He's gonna send him to jail. He's not gonna shoot him. And then he says at all costs, and I'm like, oh, he's gonna shoot him. He's gonna shoot him. Motherfucker pulls a gun out and
look at this. Marrow, like none of them have. Okay, so
Okay.
they realize Marrow. Vine is just still looking. Like, look at Vine. Vine is just like.
Yeah, I feel like
Vine
Vine
does
isn't
not give
gonna
a
change.
shit. Elm is concerned. Like, you can see the
You know
concern
what's-
on her face.
you know
Marrow
what's
is fucking
almost-
terrified, right?
What's almost so great about this scene is that you don't see the bullet. You don't
Yeah.
see the corpse.
You don't
all
see the
you
body.
see,
You just
all
see
you
the
see
shot.
is people's reaction, the shot, and how sudden it is. And the fact that you don't, it's almost as more frightening imagining what it looks
I totally agree.
than seeing what it really is. It has that essence of horror to it.
But
and
yeah.
it was so genuine. This was genuinely one of the most unsettling scenes RWBY has ever
I
done.
think so too. Especially because it's like all the things it represents.
Someone said
death of
boom
democracy.
headshot in the chat, and I do not appreciate that.
But yeah, this was so well delivered, and I also like it too because like you have this duality of Winter in this room, the Aesops in another, and Ironwood in the middle.
Between them.
Right between them, and I think that was a really
Killing
good
a
idea.
duly democratically elected official.
Yeah, so rip to that guy though. But yeah, I think it represents a lot of things. It's like, again, like the death of democracy, the death of, it's not just him shooting a guy. It represents everything. Like, it just represents everything. You guys understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, full dictator mode, all that sort of stuff.
He holsters it back.
And so,
this is my
cool.
favorite scene. When Winter and Harriet look to each other, and they're almost like, they're almost ashamed. She's almost like ashamed of what she's doing because she's like, I let that happen. I'm still following
It was
this
also
man.
interesting at the beginning of this scene. You can hear Hero playing in the background if you guys watch it on the Rooster Teeth website.
Someone brought up, if you were one of my men, I would have you shot. Wow, he wasn't.
Wow!
If
you were one of my men, I'd have you shot. If I were one of your men, I'd shoot myself.
Oh man.
Dear.
Oh,
Okay.
that is a really good. Oh, that's a real. I didn't even think of
I
that
didn't think about
callback.
that either. Holy shit.
Oh no.
But yeah, so Hair, like, it's interesting because, okay, so Hair looks at Winter, but then she looks away.
down.
As if she's just like, yeah, I
Ashamed
saw
of
it, but I
herself.
don't care. You know, that
Or
sort
like
of,
she's self-aware.
Yeah,
like, it wasn't
self-aware.
right, but I didn't.
I
do
don't
it.
mean don't care as in she doesn't care. I mean that she is still gonna follow Ironwood regardless. But she's just like, like she's just looking away, like nothing to see here, like that sort of thing. And so I feel like that Hair is looking away because it's like, yeah, Winter, I saw it, but what are you gonna do about it? It reminds me of, I don't know if you read this one, Hunter, but in the fairy tale book, there's a story about the crown, right? Like the king, the crown, and the widow, and all that stuff. And at first, the king gives bad advice, and the widow is like, or I guess in the middle of the story, he does it. He gives good advice first, then the crown makes him start giving bad advice because he doubts himself. It's a whole thing, right? And so what happens is that the widow is like, he gives bad advice, and the servants are like, yes, that was bad advice. But then the widow says something else, like, you know, and then the servants are like, no, he's the king, right? So you see how at first the servants agree. The servants agree that the action is bad and there's something up with the king, but then it is reinforced in them somehow. Like, no, there is no problem, he's the king, let's all look away, because the king has absolute power and so does Ironwood. So that's what I'm thinking of. It's like, he's the king, right? The servants aren't gonna fight against the king. The servants aren't gonna challenge the king.
I also like
and that's like,
not only, presumably, like, you know, a bullet, like, you could still do something to help that man. No one's even walking over and putting pressure on the wound.
It was a headshot.
Was it a headshot?
Dead. I mean, I
don't know.
think
I guess
so.
It was. Yeah, I guess
dead.
that could have been a headshot.
He's dead.
I'm
But
sure
yeah, but Winter, you see, she's surprised. She's like, you're just gonna let that go?
Yeah.
I feel like Winter is the more hesitant one. Out of Winter and out of Hair,
I
feel like
I think
Winter...
neither of them are...
Well, she's surprised. Like, she keeps her eyebrows
She
furrowed.
seems
She
more...
doesn't like
yeah,
it, right?
she seems solemn, but, like, Harriet almost seems, like, ashamed of herself.
Yeah, and so I feel like Winter is probably, like, in order of the most, like, I feel like it's Marrow, Winter, Elm, Hair, Vine, if that makes sense. Like, in terms of concern, right? And, like,
Sure.
possibly expressing that concern in the future. Like, I feel like Marrow is definitely, like, fuck this shit. I'm out of here. I'm just a Faunus, like, from Atlas, like, Atlas Academy and all that stuff. I didn't sign up for this, except he kind of did, right? And so, yeah. Winter is at least a bit shocked here because, like, that could have been her dad getting shot. Oh dear. Poor Jacques Schnee.
I think he will get shot, if I'm entirely
Jacques.
honest.
But yeah, I definitely... Winter betrays Ironwood, possibly. I think she'll at least talk to him about it. But I feel like we're definitely getting that spicy Winter character development. For sure, guys.
But I'm not sure about the Aesop's. Marrow, I feel like
Marrow the most, for
I
sure.
feel like Vine and Elm are, like, they're in it to in it. They've gone full, like, yes, dear leader.
But let's talk about this, I guess. I mean, we've already seen this. This is sniffing the relic to go find Oscar, and that's where the episode basically ends. So yeah, that is that's where we are with that. And then the intro starts, but we don't care about that because we already made a video about that.
The intro.
Oh my god, Watts police brutality. That was a mouthful. Watts gets beat in prison. No holds barred. Like, they do not care. There is no ethics anymore.
Torture is an effective means of extracting information out of people. One thing I want to talk about is that in the opening, there's a scene where you see a Grimm in black and white, and I said it might be a Grimm the Wyvern. I think it's just the monkeys because they have a more similar job. So I think there'll be a big monkey scene.
It's a thing from the opening,
Yes.
And so it really do be like that.
This is such a I love
this art is really nice.
I love how Salem looks in it. It's such a small, but I love how she's almost her body is turning into like
as part of part of the ship.
I mentioned something here.
We do get
live from Schnee Manor.
Yeah, so that's interesting.
So what's
Why
happening
would we
in
be
Schnee Manor?
live? Like, they could have just taken that from last volume because this picture looks a lot like the picture before Jacques gave his press conference. But like, what if this is a hint in another episode? Like, now that Jacques is arrested, Willow will be making an announcement that she is
Will
taking
the two
hold of the
lesbians
company.
show up?
Yeah, exactly.
Who knows,
guys? Anyway,
it continues on.
Oops, that was
we didn't get a shot of the voice talent because part of me. I mean, I don't think there's any new voices in here, but a part of me wanted to see what the actor for Mole Boy was for Mole Man.
Oh, I don't know, but yeah.
I don't know if that would have been a cool little.
I didn't capture that, unfortunately. I don't know if you guys saw. It was just my video rendering thing. It's not like there's no hidden porn in here or anything like that. Anyway, I think we're good, Hunter.
Yeah,
I think we pretty much
when it
everything.
talks about first episodes, in the where does this rank for you personally?
Like, in terms of excited, like in terms of a reaction, I feel like it wasn't a big reaction-heavy episode. It was a very cold open where we last left off. We did get some good screams. In terms of a reaction, it's not the most reacty we've ever been. It's a lot of laying down the foundation for what will happen next. But as in first episode, I think that it was really a solid episode, if that makes sense. Like, again, I feel like that you guys have to keep in mind as well. There is a big difference between a reaction and watching something. Like, the
Yeah.
quality of a reaction is different than the quality of an episode. Like, you can have a good episode, but no screaming, crying reactions. And I feel like that a lot of this is what it sort of is, in a sense, is that, you know, there were some big reactions, but it's also about just setting things up for the future. And I feel like in doing that, it was really solid. The direction was really nice. It did give us some bones, like Cinder's backstory, Ironwood shooting, Emerald and Mercury being back. Like, it gave us a lot of flavor as well, not just setting things up.
I think it's as it is as strong as I think the Volume 6 opening, which was my previous like bar for how great an intro could be.
You mean the intro to the episode, right?
Sorry, not intro. Sorry,
like
first episode. First
yeah,
episode.
Yeah. Okay,
So,
I was like, wait, what are we talking about?
Like Volume 7 also had a very strong first episode, but 6 was my favorite so far, and I think this
episode set the tone, yes, and I feel like
the directing
was
so amazing. Right? I love just the little details in it. I love it. Had really punchy moments in there. It was like genuinely excellent. And if this like season keeps this bar, knowing all the crazy stuff that's gonna happen, this will be like true. I mean, we knew it was going to be insane. We knew it was going to be some like Volume 3 level stuff. But this is like the last 4 episodes of Volume 3 for a whole season, and I genuinely think that like a cardiologist would suggest you don't watch it because it will end you.
But yeah, I feel like that pretty much sums up how we're feeling.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed our analysis. I think we're pretty much done. We may make some videos throughout the week, especially, like, again, those 2 girls in the bar. I feel like people are probably going crazy over those 2 girls and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, we will see you guys in somewhere else.
But remember, I don't know if you'll be dressed up as a different villain
I will not be Salem next week, at least. I can promise you guys that. This was way too much work to do every single week.
You have a Neo wig, correct?
I do have a Neo wig, so maybe next, next week. But yeah, so to sort of, wrap it up, if you guys want to see our reaction, you can become channel members. I think there's probably something in the live chat that should let you guys do it easier. Maybe it's like the show your support for Calxiyn button. I'm not entirely sure. But if you want to see our reaction, you can become a channel member. And if you want to see our reaction on Patreon, if you would prefer to support that way, you guys can pledge on Patreon and see the reaction early. I think that the intro at this point is fair game. So to be honest, I may just upload it, or I may at least just wait a day and upload it tomorrow, because this is obviously our video for today. We want this video to have the spotlight, right? So yeah, I think that we'll definitely upload our intro, reaction, and analysis tomorrow. And so yeah, again, Patreon for reactions, all that stuff. Thanks for hanging out in the live chat, guys. You guys were really good, really fun, and all that stuff. And so yeah, we will see you guys in the next...
Wait. That is a weird looking bed. That's too short. Look at how stumpy that is. There's no leg room.
It's concept art, Hunter.
There's no leg room. Listen, I'm tall.
Who's supposed to be in there, Maria?
I don't know.
Are you thinking that
that's way too small?
Theory?
There's no room for your legs. I'm sorry, Ruby. This cannot stand. That is a ridiculous...
Bye, guys.
Do
you want to end the stream? Yes. Thank you.